All right, ladies and gentlemen, it looks like Kuro Games is back at it again with another survey. And this time, the rewards are going to be about 50,000 shell credits and 2 morphable echoes. Nothing too crazy, but at least we'll be able to get something out of giving Kuro Games our amazing feedback for what they can improve, what they did well, and maybe what isn't doing so well in the current version of the patch. And I've got a couple of things to get off my chest when it comes to version 2.1. And so with that, let's go ahead, let's get right on into it. We got that nice little, oh, we got the fucking flashbang. I can't see. Okay, all right. Well, let me add that to the report. How about you stop fucking blinding every player who opens this goddamn survey? Holy shit. Okay, all right. So this is just a little disclaimer form. We're gonna go ahead, we'll click start. Let's get right on into it. New content in version 2.1 includes a new region, Ricoli Islands, new special event, Old Man and the Whale, and the new companion story, Sail Day Captain, as well as the new exploration quest, Silence as a Falling Leaf, and new resonators, Phoebe and Brant. How would you rate your overall experience with Wuthering Waves 2.1? I would say I'm leaning between neutral and overall satisfied. I think I'll go with neutral for now. And I'll explain why once we get into some of the other questions. Based on your experience with the current version, how satisfied are you with the following aspects? Combat, very satisfied. I think that when you're judging the new combat or how combat has changed in the version, you have to think about the new characters that were added and maybe some of the new events. I would say that the characters like Brant and Phoebe, they play so well, they play so interesting that they're a big elevation to the combat in the game before. I'm happy with their releases. I'm happy with how they play. I'm happy with what they brought to the table, and that's going to be kind of like the main part of it. Resonator building, I would say overall satisfied. I feel like one thing that I felt like was missing this version was actually the level up materials. Let me see here. Let me see if I can find them. I'm gonna be honest, I feel like I haven't seen a large number of these across version 2.1. This is something that I feel like we've had like spammed in the past couple of events. This is something that we've had a shit ton of for a very long time, maybe even all the way back to version like 1.4 or 1.3. And it's a little bit unfortunate that I feel like the supply of these has felt like it's dwindling. You know, obviously they have a purple version, they have a light blue version as well, but I feel like we've been missing a lot of the golds. And having these has been one of the most let's be honest here, one of the best parts of actually grinding in the game, in that I feel like I haven't been doing any forgery challenges at all for the past couple of patches to level up my characters. But now I feel like I'm doing a lot more and more, and that might be due to the fact that the events haven't been giving out as many of these. And of course, right, you could say, oh boy, you're asking for too much over here. But this is something that they've been running for like a bunch of patches in a row, and it is unfortunate that the supply feels like it's going down. So that's why I'm taking mine down a little bit. World exploration. The new region in the Alvarado Vault, I have felt like it was a little bit lacking. This was, you know, this is like the place where we go into the underground. We explore all the different spots. There's like security terminals and stuff. We fight some echoes. It's very segmented. It's very on the rails. You just go from like one spot to one spot, and then you go into like a room or two, and then you pick up all the stuff there, and then you leave. You actually get done with exploration in the vault in like a couple of minutes. I'm not even joking. I think like 30 minutes, and you kind of do all of it, and you get like 100%. I'm not even joking. There's not a lot of stuff there, and it does feel like there was a lot more opportunity to like fly to you can't even grapple in there because it's so on the rails, and it's a little bit disappointing from that regard. I would have really liked an overworld connection where you like start flying down into like the abyss, and then you can like end up inside of the vault. It felt like I was exploring an HSR in this new region. However, when it comes to Riccioli Islands, I actually liked it a decent amount. I like the fact that you can fly from island to island, you can use the boat if you want, but it is not as abundant as version 2.0. I think a lot of people can share that opinion. I'll go ahead, I'll bump it down to neutral because of that. Story, honestly, I would say the story is pretty good. I haven't actually done Brant's story quest, and so I'm not going to make like a huge opinion on it. I heard a lot of people have said that the story quest is okay. It's not as in-depth as it could have been. I think that's an opinion that a lot of people share. There could have been more done in Brant's story quest. And I mean, the fish one and the fishing event, I think the story in that was actually amazing. I like the integration of all the characters, I like the NPCs, and so I'll keep it at overall satisfied for now because of that. The lack of main story progression, even though the fishing quest does sort of feel like a main story, is one of the reasons why I'm taking it down. I feel like in 2.1 they could have done, you know, a bit more with the whole like Renacida plot, but you know, we do get like a little bit with Cetus, so maybe it's better than what I'm thinking, but I would say overall satisfied. Next up, based on your experience with the current version, how satisfied are you with the following aspects? Events and challenges, Resonator design, UI design, and environment design. I'm going to be honest here. I don't like the events in this patch. The main reason why I don't like the events in this patch is that if you have experienced the past versions of the event, if you aren't a newer player, these events and challenges, they kind of just feel like a lot less than what we had done before. Less in terms of the rewards, less in terms of the actual like time that you're playing the events, and there's just not a lot of room to have a lot of fun with them. That might just be like my personal take, but I'm like going in and out of these events in maybe like they're all time gated as well by the day. I'm getting in and out of the events within like 2 or 3 minutes. That's kind of like how long they're actually taking. And unfortunately, I kind of wish there were more. It feels like today there hasn't been, or it feels like at least in the current state of the game in 2.1, it feels like there's not a lot of events. There's not a lot of reasons to like log in and like repeatedly do a lot of stuff. Even the racing event, right? That's kind of like a one and done until you get all of the different achievements. And I understand that the fishing event is sort of like the main focus of the patch, and it does have a pretty long playtime, and that's probably why there's not as many combat events scattered throughout. But let's be honest here, if you're somebody that likes more so the combat, likes playing the actual game, then you might not be somebody that's very engaged with the fishing event. And if that is the case, then you don't have a lot of other stuff to do in the past. And so this patch to me, 2.1, felt like it was really casual focused. Some people love the fishing, some people didn't. And the end result is that if you don't like the fishing event, there's not a lot of other stuff in the patch to do. And so it does feel a bit dry depending on the type of player you are. I think that the fishing event probably could have ended at 10, level 10. Ends right when the story ends. Maybe doesn't expand out this far with like all the legendary fish and all of that shit, whatever like that. And then they maybe could have had some more, I don't know, combat oriented events, some more interesting design, rather than just like, you know, go in, clear some bosses, and then get out in, you know, 3, 4, 5 minutes every single day. Because another part about this patch is that everything is also time gated, and if it's time gated and takes like 1 or 2 minutes, it's also like, okay, it can feel like a bit of a chore for some people. Next up, we got Resonator design. I would say very satisfied. Brant and Phoebe to me have been some of like the better character releases in terms of, again, what their kits do, what their visual aesthetic is, and what they're able to bring to the table when it comes to like team comps and different ways of playing the game. I think that they're a breath of fresh air that have prevented power creep as well. I think they're also very well balanced. And so to me, the characters are the highlight of this patch. However, that comes with a downside of, if you don't pull the characters in this patch, there isn't really a lot of new exciting content for you to focus on and for you to experience. So skippers this patch have probably not had a very good time. Skippers for Cantarella, or skippers for Cartithia, or of course, skippers for Zani have not really had a very good time in this patch, I feel like. UI design. I mean, yeah, I would say very satisfied. I think in the events, the UI was pretty well done. I don't think there's any real complaints that I can make about the UI. The only one that I could make is that we need a claim all button on like all of the events, all of the achievements, all of like the little tasks that we can do with the fishing event, all of that stuff. A claim all button would be something that streamlines the experience a little bit, especially if you've been like diving deep into all the different content there is. Environment design, I would say overall satisfied. We already talked about the exploration. We already talked about how some of the areas feel lacking. I will say the areas look good though. And so I'll rate the environment design high for how well everything looks, but for how it plays, it does get knocked down a peg. So we'll keep it there. Based on your experience with the current version, how satisfied are you with the following aspects? I mean, I'm not gonna lie, there was a co-op event. There was a co-op event with like the Overdash speedrun, but like, I'm gonna be honest, it's not particularly fun. Basically, the co-op event is like maybe 1 minute of activity, and if you don't start winning in the first like 5 seconds, you might as well just quit out or just like get third place or like not even think about winning. There's also a lot of like connection latency issues with people, you know, with like shitty hardware or like 1 kilobyte per second internet going in, or mobile players just, you know, working off of data. And it's just kind of, it gets really old within like the first day or two, or like the first hour or two of playing it. There's not a lot of reasons to replay it unless you're trying to just like troll or fuck with other people. And it's, you know, it's funny for a little bit, but as like a event for the patch, I'd say it's a little bit dissatisfying to have it as the only co-op event this patch when we know how much fun co-op battles can actually be. Performance optimization. Yeah, I would say the new areas perform pretty well. The new areas in terms of like performance, FPS, I don't think that there's been any issues for me. They're all like enclosed, or there's not a lot of like graphical stuff going on in the Ricoli Islands. So yeah, no real complaints here. Music and sound effects. I might be neutral here. I haven't really noticed any standout tracks. Maybe I'm somebody that just wasn't paying attention, but I haven't really noticed any like standout tracks, anything that makes me go like, oh wow, this is like crazy, crazy, crazy stuff, like some of the soundtracks that I heard in 2.0. And so 2.1 not having like any crazy stuff isn't too bad. The fishing stuff is chill, but it's also not like blowing my socks off. And of course, one of the highlights of the fishing quest was the Lorelei fight that we get to do with Brant, and well, that's just taking music from 2.0. However, the sound effects on the characters, somebody mentioned it in chat, the sound effects on the characters are good, so maybe that bumps it up to overall satisfied. Yeah, Phoebe and Brant have great sounds in their kit. Satisfying. What do you think about the amount of playable content in Wave Sing and the Cerulean Bird Calls? Limited content. The actual playtime is relatively short. I'm gonna be honest here. The fact that the fishing gameplay is so much different from the baseline gameplay of the game, that means that if you're somebody that came for the baseline gameplay and you just don't like the fishing, or it's just something that you're getting completed for the rewards and then dipping the fuck out, there's not really that much to do in the patch. Like I mentioned before, for the events like Infinite Battle Simulation and Tactical Simulacra, you aren't playing those very much either, because the existing content, right, the existing endgame is going to be more challenging. It's probably going to be more fun for you as well, doing the TOA or WeWa. I don't see very much of a reason why anybody would constantly replay Tactical Simulacra or Infinite Battle Simulation, because in a sense, for players that wanted the challenge or wanted the replayability, there really isn't that much in those game modes. However, they did add WeWa, but WeWa is on a monthly reset, and the TOA is on a monthly reset, and so it doesn't feel like there's a lot of like, you know, you're not going to play the same WeWa stage multiple times over and over across the entire patch, and it hasn't even reset yet at this point when the survey's coming out. So yeah, I'll put limited content for here. Have you completed the special event, Old Man and the Whale? Yes, I have completed the event. You arrive at Renacita's largest fishing ground, the Ricoli Islands, blah blah blah, and you heal Cetus the Tidebreaker. How satisfied are you with the special event? I'm neutral on it. I think that it was potentially a little bit too long, and I view it as like the biggest time sink in the patch. And I think it's a bit of a miss to have the biggest time sink, or like the flagship event of the patch, be something that can be this disconnected from the main game. I liked Phoebe's integration, I like the story, I love the NPCs, but the fact that there's so much to do in the fishing event after the main story, and you know, it's like a bit of a grind there, and you might just be wanting to go use an intro and outro skill and go beat up some bosses, but instead you're fishing. I can see how it gets boring after a long time, because the grind is long, and it's just, you know, I don't think it's something that they needed to spend or expect players to spend this much time on in the past. It's a good mini game though. It's just, it's not something that I personally, and I know many other people, I know it's not something that they wanted to do for such a large part of the patch. How satisfied are you with Infinite Battle Simulation 2? I'm gonna be honest. It's like, they added like a streamlined way to do it. It's just one of those events that if you're somebody with a built account, if you're somebody who has been a day one player, I don't feel like you're having a ton of fun in this event, because you're going ahead. It's the same as Infinite Battle Simulation 1, but you can just challenge the bosses whatever you want. And so there's like that shortcut there. I kind of wish that there are just like some ways to add like difficulty modifiers, some way to up the ante if you're somebody with like a built account. Because if you're a casual, right, if you're somebody that's new to the game, you don't have fully leveled characters, you're gonna have like a great experience in it. But if you're a veteran, if you're somebody who has fully built characters, you've been playing for a long time, you have a big roster, it doesn't feel like there's a lot of places to use that roster other than the end game. And having this big new player casual focus is not an issue, but only having the new player and casual focus and nothing really for the veterans can be, you know, something that they're just going in and they're like, okay, I have to wait 2 days for the next one, do it in 3 minutes. Okay, I waited 2 days for the next one, do it in 3 minutes. It can start feeling like more of a chore than actually something fun. And other game modes in the past that have been like Infinite Battle Simulation 1, I felt like they at least had a bit more of like that game feel, a little bit more of that fun feel. So bringing some more of that back, some difficulty mods, some challenge stages. I'm personally of the viewpoint that every time they release a stage, they have an easy one that unlocks and then a hard version that unlocks on the side. And then the hard version just gives you like 10,000 credits and like echoes. Nothing too crazy as a reward, right? Maybe like the rewards from this survey, 2 morphable echoes and some other shit like that. What do you find unsatisfactory about Infinite Battle Simulation 2? Let me see here. The event has appeared too many times. I'm starting to get tired of it. No, I think it's a fine structure for an event. It's just the implementation. The gameplay challenge was too difficult. No. I didn't know how alert to increase or decrease. No, it's pretty simple to understand. Supply chests or enemy buffs were too numerous, making it disorienting when trying to locate them. I'm gonna be honest here. I would say the whole like grinding and doing the supply chest part, none of it is too crazy. No pressure from alertness. None of this stuff. Nothing wrong with the events or the supply chests or enemies with the buffs being too spread out. No worries at all about the power-ups. I noticed them across the gameplay. It was just the gameplay challenge was too easy. Some buffs only apply to specific resonators. There's a really big heavy push, right, for a Rosia, for a Chang Li. They have specific mods to specific characters. They do have trials for them as well, but it's also like, well, it could have been a bit more fun to have more potential users on every single stage. The gameplay was a little bit boring if you have fully built characters because there's just not really any challenge at all. Each challenge took too long. That was something that they fixed by letting you immediately challenge the boss if you wanted to. Repetitive gameplay, I think, is definitely something. They do spice it up with some of the buffs by, you know, encouraging you to use different characters, but it's not like it's completely game-changing. And if you don't want to even use those characters, right, because you don't like them, then yeah, you're going to be using the same roster the whole time. So yeah, I would say those are the big ones to me. Just giving more opportunities to actually use the buffs, because you get all of them and then you just go in and then you one-shot the bosses. How satisfied are you with Tactical Simulacra 3? Pretty dissatisfied with this one as well. I found that the overall difficulty, you end up like accidentally one-shotting these bosses with built characters, and like you'll do a build-up for a rotation, and then when your sub DPS comes onto the field, they're building up their rotation, they'll like kill a boss. And sure, that's perfectly fine, but the difficulty doesn't ramp up at all across the entire event. And you end up at a stage where you're getting like 16, 17, 18k points on the final stage, and you need 8k for the max rewards. And it's kind of just like, all right, I did it once, I got the max rewards, cool, but it feels like a worse version of the TOA. And it feels like a worse version, not really Weewa, because Weewa is mobs and this one is bosses. It feels like a boss rush that's like the combined health of all the bosses have less than 1 TOA floor. And at that point, if you're somebody that's been regularly doing the TOA, regularly doing something like a hologram, and then you go into Tactical Simulacra, you're kind of just like, well, I mean, it's not as fun as the content that I've been doing for months, or the content that I've been doing for almost a year at this point, right? Because the game released in May. And so I'm gonna be real, it's another element of just like, why not have more mods for difficulty? Why not have some modifiers that like give point multiples and then make the enemy stronger? And so maybe, and then have like cumulative points where somebody has to like now do it twice to clear, and then you get to do it one time because you added like 17 difficulty mods or something like that. Just a way to spice up the gameplay for the most invested longest playtime players while also making it accessible and easy for casuals. Just having ways for both types of players to have fun without the suggestion of, oh, just nerf your own characters by unequipping all their echoes. That's unequipping all the gear that you've been grinding for months is not a fun thing either. You want the chance to actually use it. Okay, the combat gameplay lack variety. Yes, it's just 10 bosses after another, and then you choose a character based off the buffs you have. The fights were too long. Gonna be honest, they were a little bit too short. Fights were too easy. So I would say the combat lacked variety. The effect of the buffs were difficult to notice in combat, 1000%. Some more visual cues would have been awesome. Fights were too easy. The event has appeared too many times. I don't think a boss rush mode is inherently bad. I think it's just Tactical Simulacra 3 was too hard, or 2 was too hard, and 3 is like too easy. It was different to distinguish between trial resonators and my own during... No, they're clearly split into different categories. Point scoring is simple. The level designs were a little bit repetitive. It's just 4 bosses in a row. Maybe it goes up to like 5 or 6, and then they change up the bosses a little bit. Maybe having like a couple more like regions, different environments, something like that. The fights were not too difficult. The buffs did have diversity. I just think they need to be clear. And unfortunately, if you kill everything in one shot, if you clear every stage, right, accidentally, without even intentionally trying to do it, that does result in some boring gameplay. And so that's just my take on it. I am 1000% certain a casual player, or somebody that hasn't been playing the game as long, or somebody that doesn't invest as much time into their characters and their builds, they're going to have a different opinion of this. But this is my take. How satisfied are you with Apex Raguda? I'm not going to lie, I think it's somewhat dissatisfied again. So, the gameplay definitely lacked variety. Like I said before, you either start winning, you get an early start, and you are winning this event in the first 5 seconds, or you might as well just accept that you're going to get second or third place. That's just kind of how it is. The level designs did feel very repetitive. I think the gameplay is like a little bit boring unless you're intentionally trying to grief the people you're competing against. You can grief them by, like, you know, taking all of the different manta ray tethers, by taking all of the different elusive sprint cat paws. But unless you're doing that, it is like a little bit boring. Because you'll just do it once and be like, okay, I'm cool. I would say I've heard the mobile experience is dog shit. You can literally be griefed by other players because they pick up all this stuff. I'm pretty sure because players have been griefed, they don't like having to team up with people. I would say that picking up the elusive sprint and then like ending up accidentally air dashing because you walked off of a 1-meter cliff. You know what I'm talking about, right? Where there's like a ledge like this and then you drop down. You'll like start sprinting. You'll go like off of a ledge that's like 1 foot high. You'll do an air dash and then you'll cancel your elusive sprint and then you just start walking again. There's like a little bit of clunkiness like that where you're just like, okay, awesome. Like, let me just make sure that I'm looking at the fucking Z-axis of like everywhere I'm going. Bad camera angles. I think the camera angles were okay. I would say poor maneuverability while on the move. That's already covered in poor maneuverability while accelerating. There wasn't much communication between me and other players. Unless they were griefing me. Yeah, true. I think what would have been actually really nice is if in co-op mode there was like an emote shortcut and you would just be able to, like, I don't know, have like a cute little emote of like one of the characters. We have a bunch of them in the game that you can just like pop up every time like you finish your clear, and then you just see like an emote like floating around in, you know, either in the in-game world or in the chat, something like that. Just like some more ways to like promote interaction across the people, or you can use it to trash talk, but at least it's like some form of communication versus everyone staying completely silent. Different resonators moving at different speeds is definitely something that's just like, okay, if you really want to win and you really want to sweat, you play a male. And yeah, I think those are the main ones. How satisfied are you with Fantasies of 1,000 Gateways? I actually like it. I actually do like it. I do like it because you can have a bunch of different options for how you want to play. And so, yeah, I'll put overall satisfied. How satisfied are you with version 2.1's text quality? I don't think I've had anything in version 2.1 when it comes to the text that's been like absurdly badly translated or just sounds like shit. I would even say the dialogue and the voice acting and all of that stuff in the fishing event was like so good that I think it deserves a very satisfied. The fishing event was very good. The vault event was perfectly fine as well when it comes to dialogue, and there wasn't anything to drag it down. So yeah, I put very satisfied for that. Do you have any additional feedback or suggestions regarding the text quality of Wuthering Waves? Keep up the amazing work with NPCs. that's probably the main one. I feel like Wuwa's NPCs are incredibly good. There's so much care put into them, even though they're not like playable characters that people are going to be spending money on. And I think they do have probably the best NPCs. I mean, I might as well just say the best NPCs in Gacha. I can't think of NPCs that are better. What do you find unsatisfactory about co-op modes in this version of the game? Stutters and latency. Communication is not convenient. Quest experience, you can't really share it. There's no combat in this patch, so I'm going to say it's unsatisfactory. And there wasn't enough playable content and not enough interaction. Yeah, I would say those are the main ones. There was no combat co-op event this patch. And the only one is a racing minigame where it's, you know, you're kind of done after it in one go, and then you end up getting griefed if you play it multiple times. Which of the following gameplay features would you like to see included? Personally, I'm not a fan of minigames, not really a fan of Sims, and maybe an in-game space, a little bit of a teapot. I mean, I guess that would probably be the main one, right? I wouldn't want like a full teapot where you have to design anything, but maybe like a dorm of some kind where you can like accumulate buffs over time, something like that, where you can like I don't know, like build up some resources, be rewarded for being like a long time player, something like that, some cosmetics, that sort of thing. But all of these other ones, I'm gonna be real here, I'm not a huge fan of them, because mini games I can play with my friends, I mean, we already had one of those. Mini games I can play with other in-game characters, maybe that one. And then other, please specify. I would say I would love to see some sort of like additional integration, like a mini game that integrates with Wuwa's core gameplay, like something that where you do a mini game and then it relates to like the combat, or relates to like echoes, or like farming, or something like that. Yeah, like a mini game involving echoes, ones that you own, like something like that, right? That'd be kind of cool to like, you'd be able to like summon your best echo. Imagine if there was like an echo training mini game where you could like put in a fully leveled echo, you like train it a little bit, and then it would actually like raise one of its substats or something like that. And then you get that like once a patch. That would actually be super cool. Some kind of like echo zoo, or like something like that. I could see like a farm or farming simulation involving your own echoes. I think that'd be kind of cool. Like an echo battle yeah, like an echo battle of some kind. Echo mons. That'd be cool. As far as Wuthering Waves is concerned, which is the most comfortable level of player-to-player interaction for you? I like co-op with markings. Verbal communication. I'm not gonna lie, it's like, this is a slippery thing to discuss, because you don't want co-op that requires too much communication, but you also don't want no communication, because then you're at the risk of like thinking, oh, is this just better as a solo mode? I think like something with non-verbal communication, think of like being able to communicate with like pings, or like emotes or signals or something like that. It would limit the toxicity, but then also have like some sort of strategic implementation. I think 3 is the way to go for me, and I think 3 is probably the most palatable for gacha players, because even if you're like somebody that does lean in more to the solo side, not having like the stress of like figuring out how to talk to people is a big thing for those people. What are your expectations for Wuthering Waves' co-op multiplayer mode? More boss-oriented content with actual risk of defeat / wipes. The tactical hologram co-op event and Hikari co-op fight were some of the best experiences in the game, and their absence in this version is a little disappointing. Yep, I think the co-op hologram event was actually the best event that Wuthering Waves has ever had. They have a part of it in the event that they had in 2.0 with Hikari, but it's just been like, I mean, where is it? We just have like Overdash instead, and I'm gonna be honest here, I don't think a lot of people want to play Overdash multiple times. Would you find it useful to have an in-game feature that lets you review the main quest you've completed? Yes. The cutscenes too, please. What types of content from the main quest would you review? Cutscenes. Yes. Well, explanation? I don't really need the explanations. Story summary? Yes. I think these were story summary, cutscenes that show combat highlights, cutscenes that showcase bonding moments, plot from the previous or subsequent chapters, but I don't really care about anything else. I think those are the main ones. It's, you know, a lot of other games have it. Replaying story cutscenes, like, there's a lot of good stuff in the game. Are you looking forward to any of the upcoming games? I like what Arc Knights is looking like. Duet Night Abyss is interesting too. Ananta's also looking killer. Azure Permilia, not really. And I'm just gonna put NTE on there because I want to see it die to Ananta, and that's gonna be kind of funny. The rest of these games, I don't really know. Azure, I mean, sure. I guess I'll just put Azure Permilia because it's open world as well. But those are gonna be the main ones for me. I don't really know the other ones. Based on your experience with the game so far, do you have any feedback, any additional feedback or suggestions? This patch has felt very dry. Oh my god, it's a fucking earthquake. Has felt very dry unless you really enjoyed grinding and repeatedly playing the fishing event. A lot of the combat events also seemed tailored for newer players, and while experienced veterans did get a new endgame mode, it is resetting every month, and so there is not a lot of content to do. If you had the account, that could clear it easily. This patch seemed to be very focused on newer players, but did not give a lot to veterans. That's my take on it. That is my take on it. Why is your browser twerking? Blame the devs. Also, please lower the brightness on the survey screen, and also please fix the screen shaking whenever you type feedback on this form. I mean, surely I can't be the only one that's getting this fucking earthquake effect, right? Surely I can't be the only one. All right, and that's gonna be our survey. That's going to be our final thoughts on version 2.1. I'm going to be honest here. I feel like there is a significant amount of missing potential in this patch. I feel like there's stuff that the devs really easily could have done better. And it's a little bit, to a degree, it can be disappointing. To a degree, I can see where the focus was. But again, my final thoughts on 2.1 are, if you didn't like the fishing event, or the fishing event wasn't something you invested a lot of time in, I don't feel like there was a particularly large amount of content for you to do. And so with that, I'm going to go ahead, I'll claim my rewards, and that'll be it. Let me know what you all think, ladies and gentlemen. Peace out.
If you want to prove me wrong, then name me one successful Genshin Impact creator who is not pandering to children. Who? Can you stop saying you? I don't play the fucking game. What are you on about, bro? Giga covers anime. I'm saying a Genshin Impact content creator. Ziox, Tawano, Dish, Enviosity, Doro, Brand, all of their content is targeted towards children. That's it. That is the only viable content is Genshin, is the content made for kids. So yeah, it is dead if you're above 18. Just like Zajeff's sex life. Cool, let's keep going here.
And Impact, stop comparing them, just enjoy both. As if the entire gaming industry isn't built on competition. But here's the reality. As much as people pretend to hate the term, they can't stop talking about it.
Hey, to be fair, guys, Zajeff called me a rapist. Alright, so, hey, the gloves are off. I am not holding back on that guy. I'm gonna just keep it a buck.
Outrage, the debates, the thousands of reaction videos, that is exactly why it works. The people who pretend to be above it can't help themselves. Like, I'm so tired of this drama. Proceeds to watch every single 20-minute video talking about it. Like, buddy, you are the drama. But here's the thing. This so-called annoying label isn't just marketing gimmick. It actually forces the genre to improve. When a new game gets slapped with a Genshin killer title, it is thrown into a high-stakes battle it never even signed up for. No trial period, no warm-up, just straight into the deep end. And suddenly, the expectations are sky high. If we're talking about
sky high, aka just be better than Genshin, which I'll be real, it's just not that hard. That game is ass, and we know it's ass.
On a regular gacha game, it can probably get away with just being okay. A Genshin killer, it has to prove itself at a very high level. It's not enough to just have pretty waifus and flashy combat. At this point, almost every gacha game has that. It has to do better. Whether that's fairer monetization, deeper gameplay, or an actual endgame that isn't just collecting primo gems like Johnny Somali.
Zajeff touched my sister? How old was your sister, Emor? Wait, You're the sister? Oh, yo, Zajeff, man, you better get on those allegations, man. It is not looking good. How many of y'all did Zajeff hurt? Speak up, guys.
Collecting jail time. And guess what? That pressure works. Because now, new gacha games can't just copy-paste the same formula and expect people to eat it up. They have to innovate or get laughed off the stage like how they did to Tower of Fantasy. Meanwhile, the top dogs like, oh, I don't know, a certain multi-billion-dollar game actually have to try instead of coasting on fan loyalty. You think Genshin suddenly introducing a new endgame mode was just coincidence? The
Wow.
5-star selector, the weapon banner,
And it was so good, right, guys? Man, the Imaginarium Theater, it was so good.
No, that is what happens when a new game
Wow.
enters the ring and people start asking questions. Calling something a big gacha game killer isn't about predicting a game's demise. It is about making sure no one gets too comfortable. And if your favorite game needs to be protected from competition, maybe it's not as untouchable as you think. Now, let's not pretend that the Genshin Killer label just appeared out of thin air. Tectone practically invented it. And if you spend any time in the gacha community, you've seen Tectone sling that term around like it's a hawk to a coin rug pull scam. Love him or hate him, the guy has a knack for riling people up and keeping the chatter alive. Every time a new gacha drops, you can bet he's already got a video up asking if it's the one. And whether you agree,
And it makes them mad every time. It makes them so mad every time, bro. It's so funny. It's so funny.
to his takes or think he's just farming engagement, you can't deny that he's shaped the people talk about these games. What he's really doing isn't just stirring the pot, it's keeping the conversation alive. By throwing bold claims into the mix, he forces people to actually look at these games, compare them, and figure out what works and what doesn't. It's not about predicting Genshin's downfall, it's about making sure that new releases don't get ignored.
It's also about making sure that people understand that a lot of these games were built off of the blueprint of what Genshin did to Breath of the Wild. And the malpractices that Genshin is currently experiencing and currently doing, we will see the ripple effects of this into other games. Now, I will say, Genshin Impact forced a lot of these new energies to have to innovate how good their games are. However, all of the predatory practices they built it up to in order to support a foundation of a game that big, we're now seeing in other games everywhere. And making the community aware of those things and being cognizant and being cautious is super important to me.
Might call it pure clickbait, but in today's digital age, that is just smart content creation. Tectone's dramatic takes might seem excessive, but without them, half of these games wouldn't even make it into people's radar. So here's the Tectone, provoking controversy, driving conversation, and ensuring that every new release is at least given a fair shot in the arena. You know,
I'm very curious to the comments.
what else thrives on competition? Content creation. Unlike billion-dollar game studios, independent creators like me rely on actual community support. If you are enjoying this video and want to see more deep dives, hot takes, or just me ranting about gacha nonsense, consider joining the channel membership. Members
great
get
channel.
exclusive videos, behind-the-scenes content, and probably some bonus rants that definitely wouldn't make it into a normal upload. And if you want to go the extra mile, you can support the channel through my Streamlabs link in the description. Because keeping up with the
great.
gacha news is not keeping up with the Kardashians. It's a full-time job. And unfortunately, Hoyoverse is not cutting me a sponsorship. Huge thanks to everyone who's already supporting. It really does make a difference. Now speaking of
I ain't gonna lie, bro. I ain't gonna lie. The ad rev of YouTube is fucking abysmal, bro. It is. It is.
things that keep this genre alive, let's get back to why competition is the best thing that could happen to gacha. People love to games as some kind of a war crime. Stop pitting games against each other. Like, okay, but how else are we supposed to figure out which ones are actually worth playing? Comparison
For anybody who thinks that you shouldn't be comparing games, they're just fucking morons. They don't get how the industry works. Competition breeds success, just like I breed your mother.
aren't just for drama. Although, let's be honest, they do fuel some absolutely hilarious Mr. Pokey tweets. They are how players articulate what works and what doesn't. When someone says, this game is a Genshin killer, what they're really saying is, hey, this one does something better. Maybe it has a fairer gacha system.
By the way,
This one
W editors putting more cat reacts. This will take your videos to the next level. I told bro, get rid of the lolly shit, and he replaced it with cute cats. Infinitely better.
does something better. Maybe it has a fairer gacha system, more rewarding content, or wild concept, an actual reason to log in beyond daily chores. And yes, and if you're wondering, yes, these debates can get messy. Reddit threads turn into a digital war zone, Discord servers implode, and suddenly you see your favorite streamer Saint Tontus ranting about a Vars 2 video and get
Okay, hold up. He's not anybody's favorite content creator, okay? Because if you watch Saint Tontas, you found him through me, and I'm your favorite content creator, okay? Let's just Let's just make sure we got all that addressed. Okay, I just want to keep it fair, all right? He's a good one. He's a good one, but let's just remember where the original was, guys.
Getting into a 1v9 in a Gacha cast.
To be fair, St. Totas slaughtered in that 1v9. I'm not gonna. Well, it was a 1v4. It was 1v4. I was the guy who 1v9, by the way. But just remember who the original was. Can I give you a hot take? Do you want to know why St. Totas will do better in debates than most CCs of today's day and age? Because St. Totas has no respect for anyone, whereas other people are trying to be respectful, and no one will cut him off. And the way the internet thinks is that whoever's talking more wins. The way you beat St. Totas is you cut him off. However, a lot of the people in this community just won't do that, and they'll let you say everything. And that's the reason why when I talk with people like St. Totas, or when I talk with people like MTash, or I talk with people like Mr. Pokey, there's a phrase that I have to say. And this phrase is commonly considered gaslighting. I don't gaslight. However, I can understand if somebody were to think that I was. But the problem is, when you're dealing with professional yappers, what do I say, guys? What do I say? So what you're saying is, and the reason why I say, so what you're saying is because the internet isn't going to pay attention after the 5-second mark on what they're saying. So I make sure to recondense what they're saying so the audience can be caught back up to what was said, and then I address it in a bite-sized format. However, people who know how I countered their tactic will then say I was gaslighting because they want to lie. And they know when you take all that yap that people aren't paying attention to, think longer talk equals more correct. And you condense it down to what the essence of what they're saying was. The audience can actually consume it, and then you address it, they freak the fuck out. I mean, that's just how it goes, man. But St. Totas will be untouchable unless he argues with people who are willing to cut him off, like myself, like Gacha Smack. It sucks, but it really is like PvP mode enabled for certain people. I think people who are very good at civil debate are actually Gacha Smack and Genizad. Very good at civil debate. I think Fob is quite good at civil debate as well. I used to be fucking horrible, so I watched about 16 hours of TED Talks on how to be more polite, because I'll be real, I used to debate like a fucking jackass. I'm gonna just be completely real. I'm gonna be completely real. By the way, I think it's completely fine. I think intense debates are good. I think they are very fun. However, it gets very messy very quickly. You used to debate like saying, oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, 100%. But I'll be real though, I would like to challenge that. I think I was just a dick, and my way to beat people were to just attack them relentlessly. I don't think Saint does that. I think Saint just talk no jutsus. I'm not a yapper. Like, Saint and Ryuku Sensei are like, get those two in a call, that'll be a 5-hour VOD, minimum. Minimum. Like, literally, 5-hour VOD, minimum. It will be a yapathon. A fucking yapathon. Why are you shitting on people? Because some people deserve to get shit on. I'm not gonna lie. I think some of the people who I shit on the most were probably Yalan, Slave, Tao, and Soul of an Artist. Yeah, and Atsu. Yeah, nah, I was definitely ripping into them, 100%. Because you can kind of tell how a debate's gonna go before it even starts sometimes. Like, for example, me and Mr. Pokey get into a call. Chat is gonna divide. You know it's gonna be his chat versus my chat. And me and Mr. Pokey will try to communicate. You already know he's not gonna understand my analogies, and I'm not gonna understand his accent. And you know it's gonna be about an hour of incoherent ramblings into, oh, we're good. Me talking to Asmongold. You will see my IQ drop in real time. Talking with Asmon just makes me want to be the biggest dumbass on earth. It's just fun. I talk to Emaru. She's not going to get a word. I like getting Asmon to explain things that I already know, just because I like... That's how Steak and Eggs work. I go to Steak and Eggs, I act really dumb, and what Asmongold really likes is expanding upon information that he thinks that person doesn't know. And that's how you get him to talk. It was good. Go on here. That's why you play him at 400%.
But that chaos, that's how the
Did you see what happened at the end of that?
But
Me talking after he finished talking is me saying, so what you're saying is, summary here, immediately.
that chaos, that's how the genre evolves. If no one ever questioned the status quo, we would still be playing gacha games with 0.3% SSR rates, and content droughts that make Sumeru deserts from Genshin look like a tropical paradise. Every time people argue over whether a game is a killer, they're actually holding developers accountable. And if that makes some fanboys uncomfortable, well maybe their favorite game should try a little bit harder. Look, whether you love or hate the Genshin killer label, you can't deny one thing: it gets people talking. In an industry where attention is currency, that is everything. And let's be real, most gacha games launch and disappear faster than Lol Shinya promising daily Twitch streams.
I gotta call him. Pick up like a call from fucking Domino's, buddy boy. Pick up. Oh, fuck! He knew I was gonna tell him to stream, man.
Without a strong marketing hook, they don't even get the chance to prove themselves before they're buried under whatever Hoyoverse is doing next. Calling something a big
Yeah, I gotta change my caller ID to Pizza Hut. Then he would have picked up.
game killer forces people to pay attention. Even if they're just there to market, that is still engagement. And guess what? That engagement translates into actual players. People might check out a game just to see if it lines up with the hype, and before they know it, they're 40 volts deep into a banner, convincing themselves they totally don't have an addiction to gacha. Sure, the label is overhyped, but that's the point. If a game launches with zero discussion, it's already dead in the water. If calling it a Genshin killer gets it on people's radar, then guess what? It just won. And you don't think the term Genshin killer was some kind.
And they say, well, you're giving the game high expectations to live up to. Yeah, I know. I'm attempting to force developers to make their game not shit. One, I'm getting people to talk about the game. Two, I'm getting people to realize that they do want an alternative. Three, I'm trying to get people to realize that we want more from our games. Calling something the Genshin killer should be done in mass. Because whether you want to admit it or not, it gets people talking every fucking time.
Kind of a personal attack with how some people react to it. Newsflash, competition isn't a death sentence, it's a wake-up call. The second a new game starts gaining traction under this label, it puts
Remember when the Tower of Fantasy was the Genshin killer? Do you remember when Tower of Fantasy was labeled the Genshin killer and it had the biggest gacha launch in history? Guys, I want to remind you. Do you guys remember how many viewers I had on day one of Tower of Fantasy? 35,000. 35,000 viewer on TOF launch. Oh, and you want me to tell you why that's even crazier? Because Asmon was live too with 20K. Yep. That was one of my only streams where I ever had more viewers than Asmon, which was ridiculous. The next day I went live to 5K. We will never reach that again. I'm still not even in my prime. We're not done. We will grow to get bigger every single time, bro. I'm not done. I'm not near even close to retiring. Absolutely not. I have plans, guys. Don't worry. They just take a bit.
Pressure on everyone. Not just the new devs trying to prove themselves, but also the reigning champs who suddenly realize they can't afford to slack off. And that includes Genshin. Because when another game starts doing something better, Hoyoverse actually has to respond. Even if the so-called killer doesn't live up to the hype, it still raises the bar. Maybe it introduces a better pity system, a more rewarding endgame, or heaven forbid, a battle pass that isn't just a glorified chore list. And once players see that, they start demanding more from every game they play. The gacha industry thrives on engagement, and engagement thrives on competition. Without it, we would still be stuck in an era where devs get away with laziness because who else are you gonna play? Every game that enters the ring, whether it wins or not, pushes the whole genre forward. And if Genshin fans were really so confident that nothing could top their favorite game, they wouldn't be so scared of the conversation in the first place.
True.
It doesn't matter if a game actually kills anything. What matters is that people care enough to argue about it. And in an industry built on FOMO and constant engagement, that is everything. People don't realize just how much outrage-fueled marketing works. You see a new game getting called a Genshin killer, and suddenly EO makes a new tweet. YouTubers are making reaction videos on it, and streamers who swore they would never touch another gacha game are booting up just to roast it. And then the
Genshin Impact streamers say, I don't really care, guys. Looks kind of bad. It has everything I wanted for Genshin, but I don't know, dude. Zhao's so freaking hot, dude. Zhao's so freaking hot, dude. Look at Klee. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, the reason why you're so freaked out over new games is because you're worried about your job security. And you know I'm right.
Week later, some of them are hooked to it. Even if a game flops, the fact that it dominated the conversation for even a second means that it did something right. Hype alone can't...
Yeah, well, you see, I would play Wuthering Waves because it has everything I've ever asked for, but the co-op, I don't know, the co-op... It just doesn't have the same co-op. And no, I don't do co-op in Genshin, but if I did, I think I would prefer it. So I just don't think I can swap because of the co-op, to be honest.
Sustain a bad game, but it can give a good game the visibility it needs to survive in a crowded market. If nobody is talking about a game, it might as well not exist. So yeah, the Genshin killer label is overused, but do you know what's worse? Irrelevance. At the end of the day, the real question isn't whether a game can actually kill Genshin, it is whether it can force the genre to evolve. And every time a new game gets that label, that is exactly what happens. It pushes developers to be better, it forces them to innovate instead of just recycling the same formulas.
I like that cat.
It puts pressure into existing games just to keep up instead of coasting on their success. And it makes sure players aren't just accepting whatever is thrown at them, but actively demanding more. So yeah, the term Genshin killer is overused, exaggerated, and sometimes flat out ridiculous. But you know what? It works. It keeps people engaged. It keeps studios on their toes. And it keeps the gacha industry from becoming a complacent, lifeless cash grab. And if your favorite game really is that untouchable, then ask yourself why.
Why what? Why what? Why what? Fuck! Hey, I'll be real, man. Rock, paper, scissors was shaking in its boot when tic-tac-toe came out. Everybody was saying tic-tac-toe is the rock, paper, scissors killer. And we all know it's the truth. I'm going to say this, and I mean this with nothing but respect. I have never seen a dude this old play gacha games, and that's fine. I think there is no age that dictates when you have to stop enjoying something. Well, besides that one thing that immediately came to your head. Besides that, I saw that this dude is like, this guy doesn't look a day older than 20 years old, but I would assume bro is probably in his late 50s, early 60s, right? And I am just curious, what does my grandpa think of gacha games? I am so curious what the older generation thinks of gacha games. I just had to watch it just to see who this guy is.
The Zen the Zone 1.6 update drops tomorrow, so it's kind of a lull before the storm right now. And with that, I figured
I'm not gonna lie, it's still kind of a lull. I'm gonna be real. ZZZ, it's kind of nobody gives a fuck. Yeah, to be completely honest, people are kind of not giving a. I think 2.0 ZZZ is really gonna have to reinvigorate the game, and hopefully they just clean up that UI, because I think a lot of people are having an issue getting back into ZZZ due to the fact that ZZZ kind of only functions if you stay a fully committed player. Because when you come back, nobody really knows how to get anywhere. There's like 48 event notifications, and it's really hard to tell what exactly is going on. So I think that's the big issue that ZZZ is currently facing.
might be a good time to talk about some upcoming gacha games that I think are going to shake things up a bit.
Great.
Now, one of the great things about being late to the party is that you can talk about things that you've become excited about, even if...
Sure, I mean, as long as bro doesn't get excited for NTE, I think he's pretty good. Because all games on the horizon look really good besides that one.
Everyone else already knows about them, right? I mean, it's kind of like asking anyone who's ever played any MMO ever, hey, did you know that the critically acclaimed MMORPG Final Fantasy XIV has a free trial and includes the entirety of A Realm Reborn and the award-winning Heavensward and Stormflood expansions all the way up to level 70 with no restrictions on playtime?
I love them.
Yes.
I love them.
So with that in mind, I want to talk about a few gacha games.
This guy's great.
Hopefully in the next year that I'm super excited about that you probably already know about.
I know what manga series that is behind him. I think I have that. Are those behind me too? It looks like Vinland Saga, but I can't tell. I'm not sure.
I don't care. I'm soldiering on, happily oblivious to any rolled eyes that you may be throwing my way, and hopefully you'll stay to bask in my enthusiasm.
Absolutely.
Without further preamble, let's get this train in the water. The two of the games on the list are
Well,
both...
is that a saying? Let's get this train into the water? Is that a thing that people say?
Open world games set in a sprawling urban metropolis. Now you have to understand, I have a huge spot in my heart for any game that attempts an urban setting. You see, over 15 years
Maybe they used that back in the 1940s when this guy was born.
ago, I created from scratch an open world retro-futuristic vehicular shooter called Atomic City Adventures.
Never heard of this.
Now, granted, the graphics were dated even by its time.
Okay.
I was a single dude creating a game with no salary entirely on my own. I did
That's
contract
awesome.
out for the models and animations, but all of the programming, design, level creation,
Oh,
everything
fuck
that
yeah,
was
that's
in the
really
game, I
cool.
created. The game had 4 large city zones, and I placed every tree, lamppost, traffic light.
Damn, Grandpa W, bro.
Even though my zones are closer to City of Heroes zones than, say, Night City, when it comes to building large urban environments, I do speak from experience. And let me tell you, I have nothing but mad respect for anyone that attempts it.
Mad respect.
Everness to Everness is the first open world urban gacha game.
Oh my god, he doesn't know. Oh my god, he doesn't know this game's already dead. Oh no, bro. Oh god. Oh god. Oh, I'm gonna have to tell him this game is dead as fuck. Oh fuck.
You know what? It's gonna be fine. The game's gonna be good. Everybody's gonna love it, and it's gonna, you know what? It's gonna break records. It's gonna be a great game.
Game that has caught my attention and looks like it could be an absolute blast to play.
Uh-huh.
The game is set in the city of Pepero, and the basic gist is that you play as the first unlicensed anomaly hunter. You'll join the antique shop Ivan, which...
Yeah, Ananta gonna take a dump on this game, brother.
It sounds a little bit like a certain video store we're all familiar with, right? Anyway, alongside your diverse and extraordinary partners, you'll explore various urban mysteries, experiencing an array of adventures, and craft your own urban unique saga. The game features the ability to drive around in cars and also appears to have some level of customization for your ride. Additionally, they released a gameplay trailer not too long ago that shows off some of the combat. It does appear to be fairly familiar with the action-style ability-based combat. The game is being developed by Hoda Studio and published by Perfect World. No official date yet. The speculation is that no sooner than the third quarter of this year.
It did look good, and then Ananta announced itself. You know, and it's kind of the same game, but just Ananta just better.
The second big sprawling earth...
Oh my god, how does he... But he's seen it, he knows. Oh no, he's into NPR.
Big gacha game on the horizon is Ananta. And I gotta say, this is probably the game I'm most excited for out of all of these. The notion here is that the player is an elite agent and an anti-chaos director.
This is a big one. This is a big one.
That's with a capital C.
This gives Gacha players hope.
All over the city, causing things like, I don't know, toilets to run down the side of the road, right?
Yep.
The vibe is crazy cool, and though a lot of people are comparing it to GTA, I honestly get more of a Saints Row vibe, maybe without the giant rubber dildo maps.
Yeah, well, they're very similar, but also a good one.
Besides being able to jump into cars and ride around the city, there's also this crazy Spider-Man style grappling system.
It's fucking nuts.
Fucking amazing.
It looks
Unlike
fucking
Everness to Everness,
crazy.
Ananta has actually had a closed offline beta earlier this year in China, and supposedly the response was overwhelmingly positive.
Great.
People were saying that it actually exceeded their expectations.
Fuck yeah.
This makes me hopeful. Again, there's no official launch date for this one, but they have supposedly received their license from China's...
Is there still no official launch date? I mean, I guess I'd prefer that than them rush this shit, because I do think this is the next big thing for sure. But damn, bro. Fuck, I thought for sure by now.
NPPA, which means they're on the hook for releasing sometime this year, unless they extend the license. And finally, the game that I think is most likely to be the next one
This year would be
in our
crazy.
hands is Arknight's Infield. Now,
Do we got a release date for Enfield? Do we at least got this shit? Do we at least got a release date for this? No. Before August. Ooh, Jesus. Well, I guess we'll see.
Now, the original Arknights is the first gacha game that I really got hooked on. Having spent
He knows me. There's no way you play Arknights and you don't know me. I'll be real, man. I was Satan in that community. I wonder if Ankh knows me.
the last 12
And if he plays Arknights, He probably hates my ass, bro. He probably hates my ass, bro. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie.
Years of my career making Orcs Must Die games, it turns out I know a thing or two about making tower defense games.
Wait, what?
Years of my career making Orcs Must Die games, it turns out
Wait, this dude made Orcs Must Die? Damn, bro, that's fucking sick. Okay, that's crazy, dude.
I know a thing or two about making tower defense games.
Yeah.
And Arknight's field-based approach to tower defense was flipping amazing.
It was great.
And that's really the dreaming for the game, just how good the actual gameplay was. So I have a fair amount of confidence that Hyperdrift, the developers behind this series, know what they're doing. Similar to Arknight's
Yep.
software, in Infield you are the
I agree.
administrator. And honestly, I have a hard time using that title with a straight face. However, though, unlike Arknight's, the administrator is actually a playable character. And as the administrator, you're
Bro's
working on
tickled
a
by
distant
that, bro.
plane of Talos 2 and are tasked with exploring,
Absolutely.
terraforming, and establishing a civilization.
Absolutely
The
tickled.
game is open world, though not really urban per se. Base building, though, is a huge part of the game, and it's been likened to a combination of Genshin.
I think it's a chunk, but I really think it's gonna be like a you do it, you get it out of the way, and then you're done. I don't think it'll be that big, unless I'm mistaken. I feel like you'll set it up once and then just collect, but that's just me.
Impact and satisfactory. However, though, one of the things that I find most appealing is that unlike most open-world gacha games, in this game your entire party
Are y'all noticing that old man here hasn't gooned a single time? That's what's crazy. He's enjoying these games without being a complete gooner.
is present as you wander around. And to me, that just presents a greater sense of immersion, you know?
Or
Infield
he's
recently
hiding
held a
something.
closed beta test in which a number of gacha streamers participated, and you've probably already seen their videos, which are almost universally gushing in its praise.
Yeah.
I expect this will be the next thing to draw me away from Zenith Zone Zero, if anything. I am really looking forward to checking it out. Alright, so those are the big three I see on the horizon. How about you? Are you looking forward to these as well? Did you play in Infield's closed beta? And if so, well, what did you think? Are there other games that are coming out this year that you're hoping to check out? Maybe something like Azure Promelia? Or
Yes!
let me know what you think in the comments below.
Bro, Azure Familiar is gonna fuck so hard, bro. I legit cannot fucking wait, dude. Azure Familia, Enfield, and Ananta are my top three right now. Those are my top three. I legit cannot fucking wait. Legit cannot fucking wait. Damn. That was a great ass video. I'm still playing. I really enjoyed your perspective and how you were very just honest that you liked the game. That was great. Yo, boys, if you guys want to subscribe to I'm Still Playing, very good video. And it was nice to see what the 90-year-olds were thinking. I mean that with just love, by the way. No hate, by the way. I'm just fucking around. Right? I'm just saying that to be funny. Great video, man. It's nice to see what the 1,000-year-olds think about this. I need to stop, bro. I need to stop. Why men were really upset about Love in Deep Space. This has a 99% like ratio, 140,000 views on a 5K channel, and this is called Gender War. I think we're about to get a female perspective on why they think men were upset. Let's see.
Or hey, welcome to my channel everyone, I'm the Global Cherry and we'll be
Hey.
discussing this today. Before we begin, subscribe, like the video, and enjoy the show.
No, I'm not going to subscribe to a product before I've tasted it. I want to be impressed. I'll let you know if you've earned my sub or not. I never like and subscribe at the beginning. I wait to see if I was thoroughly impressed. And then I will check the subscribe and the alert box for all notifications. We will see.
You don't pinch me.
Morty? What the fuck?
Jessica.
I took a step back and found myself revisiting a long-buried genre from my dark past, Otome games. During my cringy teenage years, I had my fair share of dating sims, like Mystic Messenger.
I'm glad I don't know what this is.
I'd sit in the dark listening to calls from 2D RFA men with a completely deadpan look. But as I began my true gaming journey, I left that world behind until one fateful day, a friend whispered to me about love and deep space. I swore I never returned to that life again. I had goals to achieve, responsibilities to uphold, children to care for.
Really?
I'm the child.
Even if you wanted to sell your soul, you still have to find someone who can pay the price.
I just died in your arms tonight.
And then I caved. This game's file unzipped, and so did my dignity.
We're getting there. Absolutely. Man, a game that you can jerk off to in 2025. We don't have anything like that for us men. Now we have to like hope the character looks good. That way the porn artist can make something good. There's not really any true gooner game on the market right now. It's embarrassing.
This game amassed a staggering 10 million downloads in just a week and cemented itself as one of Japan's most downloaded mobile games, raking in $500 million. Curiosity killed the cat, and I had to find out why. Love and Deep Space is a visually stunning
$500 million
filmmaking from Paper Games, the same company that created Shining Nikki. You step into the role of a hunter with evil.
The name is Infinity Nikki, you dumbass. Blocked.
Powers, tasked with eliminating deadly creatures known as wanderers that threaten the city. But you're not alone. 5 romanceable love interests stand by your side. Xavier, Zane, Silas, Galeb, and Raphael, each with their own compelling...
Let's be real, Silas is the only one that anybody gives a fuck about. Can we all just root ourselves in reality here?
Stories and date scenarios. You also fight alongside them, resonating in battle through fast-paced Final Fantasy-like combats. While certain gacha games make you equip gear, this game lets you pull wishes for your favorite Lees and memories with them. You can even show your affection for them by tenderly shaking the life out of them and even breathing on them.
Look me in the eyes and tell me what you're planning.
I ate garlic bread 2 minutes ago. The game also offers a variety of mini-games, from the claw machines and kitty cards to deep space trials and bounty hunts.
Why don't we have a love and Deep Space for men? Like, straight up. Bro, I'd be playing that shit non-stop. I'd be slapping my dick on the screen. Being like, yo, baby, can you smell that? That is fucking gross. Anyways, I'll be putting my dick inside the USB port, bro, for added immersion.
Plus, there's a photo studio where you can snap pics with your love interest. As the game, initially designed for women, gained popularity, a group of men began to disparage it, calling it a gooner game. This stemmed from a newly added feature, a tracker that monitors a woman's cycle. During your cycle, the characters offer...
No, it was a gooner game before. The period tracker just adds to the fantasy that women don't need real men, right? It was an additive, right? It's a sum of its parts.
For comforting dialogue. Not gonna lie, I'm not sure if it's a sign I'm getting old, but I had to look up what gooner meant. Turns out it meant explicit activities. It was a bit strange to see that feature in a game, but it didn't seem harmful. I tracked mine on the side, so it didn't feel that abnormal to me.
I'm not gonna lie, this chick using this many cat reacts makes me really like this channel.
Struck me as even more odd was that a portion of the male demographic was upset about it, particularly a creator named Tectone.
Wait, I'm in this? That's me! That's me, bro! That's my ass! Oh, shit! Okay, I love this dude! Okay, hell yeah! Let's see it.
Who labeled the game as explicit based on that one feature.
No. No, no. No, no, no. No, 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 no. That is not what I did. Let's read the tweet. Mrs. Shining Nikki? Didn't do your research now, did you, buddy boy? Let's read this real quick. A message to every woman. A gooner game isn't just an over-sexualized game. It's also a game that attempts to farm parasocials to feel like the video game characters and video game characters care and understand you more than those in real life. So yes, LADS adding a period tracker feature is for gooners. Shut the fuck up with y'all trying to act like y'all different. The game was already a gooner game, and that added to the icing of the cake. That is not what made the game for gooners. That was just another feature on top of another mountain of features that is an attempt to appeal to women to think these men care more about me than the men in my real life, which is very gooner-esque. Now, let's continue. But I don't like that mischaracterization there. You should have done your research, buddy boy.
Explicit based on that one feature.
Nope.
It wasn't the Valentine's Day banners or the recent spicy cards that made him reach that conclusion. It was a woman's...
Yes, it was.
time of the month that drove him to tweet with the urgency of a man on a mission.
That was additive. It was additive. Because there was a bunch of bullshit going on behind the scenes. It was additive on top of it. This is a huge reach. A enormous reach.
The main story is pretty.
I've been saying this game's for Gooners for forever. Let's fact check this real quick. Right? Hold up, let's fact check this. Where are we at? Where are we at here? This is made on February 2nd, 2025. Now hold up. I've been covering Love in Deep Space. And what's been going on with this? At minimum, a half a year. That one was last month. This one has been over half a year I've been covering Love in Deep Space, saying it's a blatant Gooner game, and these women trying to act like men who are playing things for Gooners are bad, but them playing shit for Gooners are good. I'm just pointing out the hypocrisy. So let's fix that real quick, because that is not what happened. So let's just, none of this revisionist history bullshit. Let's keep ourselves rude here. I'm going to give you a pass. It's okay, but that is not what I did.
The story is pretty tame with a surprisingly dark and emotional story, and the relationships you build with characters are based more on connection than intimacy. And while it's free to play, the monetized gacha is where you see more intimate elements, but honestly that's pretty normal for a romance game. I began to understand why this game has.
Yeah, so the majority of romance games that are going this explicit are for Gooners. Just because porn normally has sex in it doesn't mean that it's not for Gooners. Just like romance games that usually have high tension sexual scenes don't make it not for Gooners. Now let's continue.
So many downloads. Everyone in the game is gorgeous, and you feel what it's like to be a stunning, desired woman.
Yeah, aka you're living the fantasy that Gooners dream of. Do you know what a Gooner is? Did we? Let's pull it up. Gooner is a slang term for a foolish or stupid person. Gooner is internet slang that repeatedly refers to pleasuring oneself to the point of sexual ecstasy. So, being desired in the male eyes, being understood by video game characters, that makes you a horny idiot. Yeah, that's what a Gooner is. And if that's not what a Gooner is, then y'all tell me how Zenless Zone Zero is a Gooner game. Because I promise you, if you call Zenless Zone Zero a Gooner game, you cannot call Love in Deep Space a Gooner game. Alright? Let's just bring it back here real quick. Now notice, Global Cherry, I have not insulted you a single time. I'm just asking you to correct your misinformation. Okay? Also, Global Cherry, I want you to notice, guys, I want no one to go after this woman. I want no one to harass her. I don't want to see no Twitter post about how I was a bully on your video. I think this shit is quite funny. However, I do think you are critically misinformed. Critically. And before you decide you want to make a follow-up video or make a Twitter post, because this is what these people do, would love to talk one-on-one sometime on stream. Would love to. And we can talk it out. But it's very, very, very simple.
And look, I'm not pretending the spicy content isn't there. No one plays Love in Deep Space just to play kitty cards with Xavier and Silas. If you played lads, we know damn well that we're pulling for the same banner. Even I pulled for a Silas and Xavier nightly rendezvous card for research purposes.
I'll do anything, I'll do whatever it takes to...
But at the end of the day, anyone can appreciate a fun game. I've even seen plenty of guys enjoying this, and that's great the community is increasing.
Yeah, and these two guys look gay as fuck. Yeah, I wonder why they're enjoying it, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, cause this shit's for Gooners, bro. Ain't nobody gonna go look at Silas BDSM skin as a straight man and say, oh, dude, this game's fucking epic, dude. Oh, man, makes me fulfill my male fantasy, dude.
What isn't great is shaming people for liking this game and lumping this with lowly gachas, unless of course...
When the fuck did anybody do that? When were people doing that? Whoa, 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 whoa. When are people doing that?
Isn't great is shaming people for liking this game and lumping this with lowly gachas, unless of course you're like Drake and like them young. Meanwhile, a portion of the male demographic argue that if they get flagged for enjoying
Who did that? The conversation was between Love in Deep Space and Zenless Zone Zero. The f you talking about?
Gooner content, then women should face the same scrutiny for indulging in digital romances. But the real question is, why does anyone care? These types of
Oh, why does anyone care? Okay, because straight white men or straight men are often criticized and held to standards that no one else is being held to. Yep. And they'll say, well, a straight guy did this and it's bad, but a straight woman did this and it's good. And that's just the truth. Now, you can deny that that happens, but you're wrong. And men feel like the hypocritical treatment enrages them because it just feels unfair. And I think it's fine if someone gets upset if they feel like they're being treated unfairly. It's that simple.
games have been around.
I'm sure you've seen thousands of posts shaming men for being horny, and you've maybe seen one or two shaming women for being horny. And that's just the truth.
For a while, so it's no surprise that women now have games catering to the massive female market in the gacha industry. Both women and men are known for their strong loyalty to their passions, whether it be K-pop groups, or their favorite sports team, or their passion for Yu-Gi-Oh cards, often becoming dedicated collectors of fan merchandise. And these lads men were clearly created with a distinct female gaze. Let people play the games they want. If you want to fight for democracy, play Helldivers 2. If
Great
you want
game.
to embrace the way of the samurai, play Ghost of Tsushima. It's ridiculous.
You know, I want to give this chick a massive pass because I really think that she doesn't actually know what she's talking about in this regard for this topic. I think she heavily underprepared for this video, hence why she said I had to look up what a gooner was. I think this is a reactionary take, and I'm taking no offense to anything being said in this video. I think it's just coming from a place of uninformedness and not malice. So I'm okay with this video 100%. So I think this chick's fine. I hope nobody's angry on this chick on my behalf or horrifically mischaracterizing me, but that's absolutely a-okay. That's fine. I'm not really worried about it. It's a small channel too. Don't worry about it.
Ridiculous that both sides feel the need to judge each other over enjoying power fantasy stories. Men
Yeah, I just really feel like she just doesn't get it, and that's okay. I would love to explain anytime.
and women can be attracted to characters. That's what games do. I have a friend who's into
Nobody's
Claire
arguing
Redfield,
against
and I'm not
that.
judging them. I know she's pretty. Leon would be relieved that someone volunteered to continue the Redfield bloodline. Somehow this ongoing argument escalated on Twitter, with people claiming that these games make players incapable of functioning in society. Like a single game is going to tank Asia's birth rates to zero, and
No, so that's what they've been saying to men for years, and now that men are saying that to women, they're freaking the fuck out. So that's what the conversation is about, is that these women don't get that all we're doing is showing them the mirror, and oh boy are they getting angry.
then, of course, it escalated further, with people saying this game is ruining women for men because it raises their standards to the moon. A tweet from Captain Cabinets argued that these games are so predatory towards lonely women that they make them reject real-life relationships in favor of a parasocial bond. Unless you're the guy who literally married a cardboard cutout, it's really not that deep. That said, no one should settle
I don't know why Kate said that. That's okay, though.
for someone they don't actually like just because they're lonely. And if you're paranoid like me,
That has nothing to do with me. Captain Refrigerator, she can defend her own take. That's not for me to distinguish. That's fine.
meeting up with a stranger isn't exactly ideal. Your night with Jake from State Farm could easily turn into a night with Jason Voorhees if you're not careful. But let's be real, this game isn't ruining lives or hurting anyone. This reminded me of the time I was playing Assassin's Creed Origins at a relative's house, and they asked me, how could I ever be a good mother or a good wife if all I ever do is assassinate targets? First of all, relax. I'm protecting the hidden ones for Anubis. In romance games, the character is supposed to be more understanding, and if that brings someone comfort, that's completely fine. It's not like enjoying a fictional character stops you from having normal conversations and asking people how their day was. And
We all get this. We're just saying that women were saying that it makes us crazy. So now we're just saying that women, it makes y'all crazy, right? We're just showing them the mirror. Everybody with the brain understands this.
men and women both have the right to reject partners they don't think are a good match. Blaming virtual
Yeah, we all already know this.
men for real-life rejection is just a foolish excuse. The hard truth? Sometimes we just don't like that person in that way. And yeah, that hurts, but that's okay. Rejection
Everybody
is a
already
part of
knows
life, not an
this.
obstacle filled by video game characters. As for ruining standards, this game is simply doing what games are meant to do, making players feel attached to a character. We love a good story, but that doesn't mean we actually want to be kidnapped by an attractive billionaire arsonist with an obsessive fixation on us. What followed was a
Yeah, we all know
of
this.
last man arguing that men just don't like seeing them happy, and that real men can't compete with virtual ones. Like, how do we go from a cycle tracker to this? At the end of the day, if a game makes you happy, that's a positive thing. not a reason to tear others down over it. Would I play last
Yeah, we all already know this.
Valentine's Day events in front of a group of children? No, but let's be real. There's no need for toxicity over what games people choose to play. Labs is just one of many games designed for women. And guess what? We find people attractive. Newsflash. It's human nature. Let's just accept that.
Yeah, this is like one of those things where like this person is trying to pretend like other people are in opposition, but everybody who watched this already agrees to all this. This is the really big disconnect, and this is why it's insane how this has less than a 1% dislike ratio. Because this creator is arguing things that nobody ever said anything against and acting like it's this like massive grandstand. Nobody thinks otherwise. We all already get this. Nobody's arguing against this.
And move on. I'm a simp. You might be a simp. It's okay. We can simp together.
Absolutely. Me and this chick are saying the same thing.
At the end of the day, gaming is an escape into fantasy for all of us, and there's nothing wrong with that. In the end, the lesson here is simple. Respect others and don't make them feel ashamed of their hobbies. Just like the respect and kindness you all have showed in my videos, and I will always be grateful.
Right, so what you just said is what women need to hear, because they've been making men feel like shit for years. So once again, this video that everybody's agreeing with, just understand, I've been saying the exact same thing. Like, this is the exact point I was making.
Grateful to each and every one of you. So what are your thoughts on this controversy? Should people be judged by certain games they play? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. That is all for today. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and hit that.
Yeah, if you play Genshin Impact, you're gay as fuck. I really hope Global Cherry sees this video, because that's insane to me. This video makes me feel not crazy, because I knew that people were just disagreeing because I said it. It's kind of the same thing with Genozad, where I will say one thing that everybody will agree with, but they'll all say, no, I disagree. Then Genozad will say the same thing, and they'll go, dude, true. And I'm like, what the fuck? Well, great. Women, hopefully you now realize, let's stop being hypocritical. Great. Great video. See you in the next one. Hit me up if you want to talk, Cherry. In months, what Genshin couldn't in years. Man, what a title!
Practice in one of the worst states it has ever been. Corporate greed? Check. Predatory monetization? Check. Quality of life?
Dude, it makes me so happy that a big chunk of my videos and my success just comes from absolutely shitting on this game. And it drives people absolutely nuts. They're like, oh, another Genshin sucks video. Hey, you're goddamn right. I keep doing this shit for the next 10 years, because while there's motherfuckers lining their pockets with Hoyo's money, going around saying Genshin good, oh man, when the contracts dry up and you see that nobody wants to cover this fucking game, oh my god. When these children turn 18 and they stop playing Genshin 2, oh my god. When they make a cure for autism and everyone stops playing this game, oh, man, I'm going to be dancing on the grave, brother. I'm going to be dancing on the grave. Yeah, have fun in Sneznaya in 2028.
Exploration locked behind an expensive paywall. You betcha.
Pick it up.
And somehow, despite all of this, Genshin developers remain the most stubborn, out-of-touch game devs in the entire gaming industry. Do they even know what the players want? Or do they...
No, you want to do? Genshin Impact screams devs that don't play their fucking game.
They just not care? Personally, I think it's probably the latter.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care. Let me tell you, we don't care.
Because after 4 years of ignoring every single request, rejecting every reasonable suggestion, and doubling down on the mechanics that frustrate players, they have suddenly decided they want feedback. But not just any feedback, a survey. Yes, folks, a totally real, totally not performative survey.
Guys.
Not a...
Wait, so you're telling me you don't want to wait till Thursdays to farm the specific mat? You're telling me you prefer if you can farm mats anytime you want? Why didn't you tell me? Oh, we could have fixed that in 1.0. Oh, I must have missed your text. Can't believe it.
An announcement, not a developer's post, not even an acknowledgement that the changes are coming. Just a form they didn't even bother to put in the game for the players to see. And what's even worse, people are actually celebrating this. They're acting like this is some grand moment of change. Damn.
Bro, Brand's tweet to this. Do we pull it up again? Oh my god, he pinned it. This guy is so coked, he pinned it. Good God, man. Hoyo Online. Yeah, guys, finally, we can save it. Brother, they know what they need to change. They're only doing this to earn good boy points. And the worst thing is when they do it, he'll say, you see, guys, it was thanks to us we finally changed it. Bitch, they knew this was an issue. They know. They gave you the answers you wanted to hear in the same survey. They know what they need to do. They're just trying to figure out how they can look like a bad or a good guy in the situation.
Devs listened. Devs listened. Devs listened. As if Genshin hasn't been pretending to listen for years. So let's talk about why this is the most hilariously embarrassing attempt at listening to the community Genshin has ever done. A few days ago, Bran Online posted a tweet, and if you've been...
God, it's delicious. That's how you know I got the finger on the pulse, baby.
In the gacha space for any amount of time, you already know when a drama starts, there is about a 95% chance that it involves a tweet. This is just the world we live in now.
Genshin players, we have an opportunity to make meaningful changes in the game here.
Genshin players, we have an opportunity to make a meaningful change. The survey and the reply to this tweet wasn't posted anywhere in game like usual as far as I can tell. It's for very specific names. We've been asking for it. Fill it out, please. I already did.
Bro, they're doing this to try to seem like they're good people. They know what they need to do. I promise you.
Survey and the reply to this tweet wasn't...
They've just waited as long as possible in order to do that.
posted anywhere in game like usual as far as I can tell. It is for very specific things we have been asking for. Fill it out, please.
Meaningful changes? Oh, I thought the Shields agreed that the game was perfect. Why change perfection? Now, let's be clear. The issue isn't really Bran himself. He's just another Hoyo Shield doing what Hoyo Shields do. Hyping up every breadcrumb Hoyoverse throws at him like it's a gourmet meal. We know this already. But here's what is a problem. The absolute delusion of people.
I love Glaive. I love them. I love Glaive so much, man. They are so fucking funny, man. Damn, we got so many good CCs. I would definitely put Glaive and Genizad and Gacha Smack. Who makes my Mount Rushmore right now? Oh, me. Me, Gacha Smack, Glaive, Genizad. Holy bro, man, it's so good right now. It's crazy.
Acting like this is some major turning point. A survey that wasn't even officially announced anywhere, that they have already done before with absolutely zero results. And this is what gets people.
I would make it very clear. Mr. Pokey would be in there if he played more Wuwa and he played more other gachas. The problem is he's pigeonholed himself way too much into just Honkai Star Rail and just like, I'm not gonna watch Zero Cycles that much. I'm just not gonna do that.
Hopeful. At this point, it's like watching someone keep going back to a restaurant that serves them cold, unseasoned food and thinking this time it'll be different. Newsflash, buddy, it won't. Which brings us to Bran himself. Bran Online is the type of guy who complains about bland food at a restaurant and then keeps coming back for more. And not just that, he complains while actively ordering.
Oh man, you overcooked my steak again. Well, see you tomorrow. Maybe it'll change.
More food and tipping extra. At some point, you have to wonder if he actually has a problem or if he just likes the abuse. Like, dude, you were just
Who is that? They are... Yo, chat. Hey, Fonz, they're hot.
Just likes the abuse.
Hey, fuck,
like,
bro.
dude, you were just ranting about how Genshin banners are getting more and more predatory, how they're pushing characters out faster, giving them trash filler weapons, and making free-to-play players feel like they're falling behind. And then what did you do? You turn around and C6 Mavika. Let me spell this out for you. If you're still throwing your wallet at them, what's their incentive to change? There isn't one. You're rewarding the exact behavior you're criticizing. It's like getting scammed by a used car dealer and then thanking them while buying another lemon off the lot. Now, to be fair, at least he's spreading the awareness about the survey, because Genshin sure didn't, which brings us to the real issue here. Genshin didn't even bother announcing this survey. Not in game, not on Twitter, not in their Discord, nowhere. It's almost like they don't actually want people to see it. You'd think that if they were serious about getting real feedback, they would make it impossible to miss. Instead, it's buried in the deepest corners of the internet. It's like some secret side quest you have to data mine to find. And yet, here comes the replies. Wow, they're actually listening. This gives me hope. Thank you, devs. Devs listened. Welcome to the Cloud Fiesta Clubhouse. I'm sorry. Are we actually thanking...
Any video with the Get Out soundbite is always top tier.
A $1 billion company for doing less than the bare minimum. This is like praising a landlord for finally fixing the plumbing after 4 years of leaks. And let's not forget, this is far from their first survey. They have been asking for feedback for 4 years. What was the point of every single survey before this one? If this is the one they're supposedly taking seriously. Oh right, there was no point because none of them actually mattered. Listen, I used to take these surveys seriously. I would sit down, put time into them, and
I remember I have old videos that are like 45 minutes, hour and 10 minutes of me actually giving them the best feedback they could have ever asked for. And then over the next 2-3 years, seeing none of it implemented. Man, miserable time to be alive.
Really think through my feedback. My friends and I would hop into a call, break down the update, and give actual constructive criticism. You know, like rational people who actually care about the game. And then after a while, we had this realization, an epiphany, if you will. None of it mattered. These surveys mean as much as a summer ant. Actually, no, that's generous. At least the summer ant contributes to the ecosystem. These surveys, they are purely performative. Let's do the math. 4 years and 2 months. That's how long Genshin has been running. That is like 50 updates, hundreds of surveys. And what has actually changed? Oh wait, nothing. The resin cap is still outdated. Artifact grinding is still hell. Endgame is still non-existent. Imaginarium theater, whatever. If that's the best that they can do, holy, think about what kind of things you're glazing. They're still pushing out premium skins like a fast fashion brand, while pretending that the player base hasn't been asking for meaningful improvements since 2020. Why would anyone believe that this time is different? What is the incentive for Hoyoverse to suddenly listen that they've...
Oh, because they're stupid.
Spent 4 years proving they don't. This isn't a real discussion. It's a formality. It's a corporate theater. It is Hoyoverse pretending to be engaged with the community while continuing to ignore everything that doesn't serve their bottom line. The same bottom line that has been made them billions, while leaving player with a game that is actively getting worse. And the best part, they don't even have to try anymore. Genshin players have been trained to thank them for scraps. They know they can put out the barest minimum of effort, throw in some buzzwords like player feedback and meaningful change, and their most loyal fans will eat it up like it's the second coming of Archon Jesus. But you know what? Enough mocking. You all already know what I feel about the game, so let's just go and dissect the survey. I mean, how bad could it be? They want to listen to feedback, right? Let's just go into it. First question, how satisfied are you with the time limit on acquiring talent level up materials and weapon ascension materials? How satisfied? As if there's an acceptable answer to this. If you pick anything other than very unsatisfied, I genuinely do not know what to tell you. This system has been universally hated for over 4 years. Your ancestors in heaven know this system is bad. Future generations will be born knowing this system is bad. There's gonna be documentary videos talking about how this system is bad. And yet somehow, Hoyo shills are still out here defending it like it's the pillar of game design. Why do...
Well, how else are they gonna get their monthly check, man? How else are they gonna get those primo gems in their mail to fucking C6 the units? So that way they can make these C6 showcase. I pulled for C6 unit. Yeah, okay, dude. Absolutely.
I need to schedule my life around a gacha game. It's supposed to be casual, not a full-time job where I have to track materials availability like I'm filing a tax return. And then there's this gem. How satisfied are you with weekly boss fights only being farmable once a week? Hoyoverse, you literally put the problem in the question. You know it's bad. You wrote it out. You had a whole meeting about it. But instead of just fixing it, you're asking us to confirm what you already know. This is like a doctor diagnosing you with a broken leg and then handing you a clipboard asking, so on a scale of 1 to 5, how painful is it? What are you doing? Waiting an entire week to farm a single boss drop is insanity. You pull a new character and can't even upgrade them immediately. You just sit there twiddling your thumbs, praying to the way that the boss finally resets. But if you don't, congratulations. You just unlock another week of suffering. You can finally continue your edge streak. Congratulations. You are a clown. At this point, Hoyoverse isn't even pretending they don't know these systems suck. They just don't care. They would rather put the responsibility on you, the players, to tell them something is bad, even though they have been bad since launch. Oh, and here's something really interesting. This survey magically spawned when Wuthering Waves had its 2.1 live stream. What a coincidence. Genshin has been ignoring complaints for years, but suddenly, the second Wuthering Waves makes a noise, Hoyoverse is like, oh no guys, we totally care. Tell us what you think. We're listening now. You're telling me this isn't connected? You're telling me Genshin suddenly wants feedbacks at the same moment Wuwa is making waves. Hoyoverse, be honest. If you really wanted feedback, you would have done this when people were actually begging for it, not when your biggest competitors is gaining traction. At this point, if I want Genshin to improve, I should just fill out a Wuthering Wave survey instead.
Yeah, y'all remember all the CCs that were getting on Wuwa because of all the hype it had, right? But then the moment it dies down, they're like, we no longer want to play. The amount of people who will play things for trends because they know it can net them the most money and only listening when it's beneficial to them is so fucking fake, it's insane.
Because apparently, Hoyoverse only listens to Kuro games. Let's talk about a real thing, actual game improvements. Because while Genshin is busy pretending to care, Wuthering Waves has been delivering. Look at what Wuthering Waves has added since launch. We're talking massive quality of life updates, genuine balance changes. And no, the big one, echo loadouts. You know, the thing Genshin players have been begging for since 2020. The thing
the thing that they can make in literally 30 minutes.
We were told was too hard to code,
Yeah, but we
or
don't
whatever
wanna.
excuse the Hoyo shills were peddling that week, and yet Cool
Alright.
Games, a much smaller company by the way, managed to pull it off in a few months. So tell me, how is Hoyo shills gonna defend their multi-million-dollar company now?
And it's still very important to say, Wuthering Waves got Echo presets before Wuthering Waves even needed them. This was a optional build. Nobody was asking for this. We did not need those. I'm not even going to use them. We got them just because Wua said, oh, you want these? Okay, here you go.
You all love bragging
We
about
don't
how
even
much
need it.
money this company makes. You boast about the revenue you personally don't even see a cent of. But
Yep.
where's that money going? Is it being reinvested back into the game? Or are they just pocketing it while feeding you the same recycled content year after year after year? I'll say this outright. I back the right company. If this is the level of competition Hoyoverse is bringing to the table, then Kuro Games deserves every bit of praise it gets. Maybe now, some of you should open your eyes to what's happening in reality. A company making billions does not mean they have a good game. Money is not an indicator of quality. It is an indicator of how successfully they can exploit their audience. And the craziest part, Wuthering Waves has every right to be just as predatory. It's a gacha game, right? They could have gone full greed mode like every other title in the genre, but they didn't. They made a game that feels like a game first, gacha second, and that should be the standard moving forward. But instead, we have people applauding Hoyoverse for throwing them a survey. At the end of the day, this survey isn't about change. It's about pretending to care while doing nothing. They know the problem.
And the same content creators freaking out about it just want to virtue signal that they're one of the ones advocating for change, when in reality, they all know that survey's not going to do shit.
They have known them for years. If they wanted to fix them, they would have done it already. They have no reason to listen to you when they...
This video has so many lukewarm takes. Oh yeah, I'll be real, man. A lukewarm take in the Genshin community, though, is pretty much the equivalent of starting World War III.
know that you'll keep swiping, keep
These people
defending,
freak
keep
out
making
over the
excuses
littlest
for them.
things.
And yet here we are, watching people fall for it again, acting like this is some massive shift, like this is the moment Genshin turned.
And also, it's a lukewarm take to you. But to a Genshin player, oh man, they will tweak the fuck out of this. They will defend shit that they know is absolute truth.
it around. No, it's not. It's just
Like, they'll know that the way's dick is in their ass. They'll say, no, it wasn't. It's like that one song, wasn't me. Like, they know they're getting fucked, and they still opt to slip the dick.
it's another meaningless survey, another empty promise, another cycle of disappointment. Genshin players deserve better, but they will only get better when they stop blindly trusting Hoyoverse. So before you defend your multi-million-dollar company, ask yourself, are you trying to make the game a better game, or are you brand online?
Man, going out with a banger. Spicy. Verse is becoming too greedy. Yeah, bro, I've been warning people this shit for 4 years. This video got 36,000 views. Hold up.
So I've
77,000 views from a 2,000 subscriber account. 260 people not awaking to the reality, though. Let's see what this guy has to say.
noticed that recently Hoyoverse has been taking a different approach to the way they handle their monetization, and while it has been brewing for a long time, just recently it has seemed they might be going a little too far with it. So I wanted to make a video about it. This is my first video in this style, so I want to know what you guys think about it. Before we start, I need to lay out what type of player I am. I am max level in both Honkai.
I think that Dendro ruined Genshin Impact. I think Silverwolf ruined Honkai Star Rail. Yeah, I think in 2 years' time, I think we're going to be saying Miyabi ruined Zenless Zone Zero. Wait and see, boys.
Star Rail and Genshin Impact. I have completed all the endgame. I typically pull just a character and sometimes their weapon. I have a few dupes of some characters, and I have one...
Why Silverwolf no one used her? Because what Silverwolf did is she allowed players to bypass any of the pre-existing mechanics for having to use the proper element on the battles, which I think severely hindered the complex enjoyment of theory building, or team building, to make sure you have the right characters to beat the certain challenges put ahead of you. But what Silverwolf did is, now that one character can bypass weaknesses, now every character can bypass weaknesses, and now you kind of ignore what enemies are in front of you, and you only work on the team that you have, and you make one team that brute forces every single content. And I think it's gay as fuck.
C6, that being Hu Tao. I buy the Welkin and the Battle Pass in both
Just remember, there's a reason why Boot Hill and Firefly now both have the weakness bypass effect.
games, but I've recently stopped buying the Battle Pass in Genshin because I just don't really need it anymore. I'm not against spending money in any of these games, but over time I felt the want to do so much less unless I really like that character. and watching Hoyoverse get a lot more daring with their monetization over time.
Okay, but nobody uses Silverwolf? Alright, yo mods, I need you to ban anybody who's this retarded when I just explained it out loud. Because you driveling fucking morons are the reason why I have to repeat myself so goddamn much. It's not Silverwolf herself, it's what Silverwolf represents. And what Silverwolf was the first character that bypasses elemental weakness. And because Silverwolf had that, other characters now have to have that in order to keep up, according to the Hoyo business model.
Eggy Rave.
So pull your head out of your ass and be able to think for 4 seconds. Yo, mods, time that guy out for a week where he can actually understand how to understand the things that people are saying in front of him.
Has made that a lot worse. Now I'll admit, I really do think Honkai Star Rail did start out as a generous game. It gave out a lot of pulls on launch, much more than Genshin Impact, and how a lot of people were very happy about that. In the first few months 100%. Of the game, you didn't have to pull light cones since they were nothing but stat boosts. The only thing you had to worry about was getting some elemental coverage, which doesn't really matter anymore.
Dude, the free-to-play experience of Honkai Star Rail on launch was so nice. It was legit so nice. By the way, guys, what's going on with Bob and Mr. Pokey? He got to MOC 9 waiting on Tribby. Is he going to pull an E1 Tribby and then say, look, guys, you see I was right? No shot he's pulling an E1 Tribby. He's going to get other people to play his free-to-play account until it's maxed out and it's farmed efficiently every day by other people, and then he's going to use his currency on getting an E1 Tribby. E1 S1. What does he think that proves? Nothing as usual. But he's going to beat it, and then he's going to make some post on Twitter being like, oh, dude, Giga Chad, I proved all the haters wrong. They said I couldn't do it. There is no power creep in Honkai Star Rail. Like, what? He is not going to pull E1 S1? Oh, he's only going to pull E1? It's like, I thought the whole point of Bob was to be relatable. And if he gets an E1 Tribby, it's just like, people just don't do that. People play these games to collect as many different characters as they possibly can, not all in on one because they're meta broken. And it's crazy how the character that he's going to all in on is the child. The one that is pretty much only being pulled for meta. I hope to God he goes to hard pity twice. 4 times.
You could have fun running your Dylan Fall of an Aeon.
So Mr. Pokey's whole gimmick is that he makes up issues in his own head that nobody is saying, and then he beats those issues that nobody's arguing, and then he says, I was right! Who here doesn't think that you're gonna, like, not be able to clear with an E1 Tribby?
Still clearing with no issues. And Honkai Star Rail appeared even more generous with the release of Dr. Ratio, who is completely free and didn't require you to pull him at all. He was also the beginning of the famous Genshin can never meme, which in hindsight was kind of stupid, but it was also kind of correct, because to this day, we have never gotten a free limited 5-star in Genshin Impact.
True.
Anyways, this generosity seemed to slow down a lot with the release of Penacony and especially Acheron in 2.0.
Yeah, the Genshin could never meme is more so for Wuthering Waves towards Genshin now. Honkai Star Rail's kind of lost its GCN pass.
1. If you were to ask me what...
Oh! Besides Aloy, guys, you're right.
...character I thought was the most harmful to Honkai Star Rail's game state, Acheron would be my answer 99% of the time.
Sure.
I could honestly probably make a whole video about her impact on the game alone.
Sure, I think that's
Not
fair.
Not only did she kick off the insane damage bloat, but she also had a very broken light cone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, if you don't know, Acheron really likes debuffs. Her team needs to get 9 of them so she can launch a very powerful ultimate, the bulk of her damage. Her light cone gives 2 stacks on her ult instead of 1, along with a big damage boost and crit damage. It is probably the single biggest jump between S0 and S1 in the game. The reason I have such an issue with this light cone, as well as a few other light cones, is because it locks her ability to use her kit behind it. If we look at older units, most of them did not do that. They simply gave stat bonuses instead. Look at Jing Yuan's light cone. It gives an insane amount of stats and is a pretty universal option for a lot of Erudition characters. I like light cones like that, but Acheron's light cone is game changing. This is very much a situation of creating the problem and selling you the solution. If they're going to do this, why don't they just make the weapon better guaranteed?
Money!
I don't see the issue with that if they want to make light cones borderline required for certain units. And I don't think this would lose them money either. If anything, I wouldn't be surprised if it actually increased player spending, because then they would have this...
Yeah, it would further incentivize players to think that it's like actually good to pull for because it's so easy to get. I think Wuthering Waves is a great system for that.
Security know they can get the weapon with no drawbacks. Wuthering Waves already has it and everybody loves it.
Yep.
So I don't really see why they don't do it here.
Because they
Another
want
problem
money.
is now they're trying to sell
That's
you the
it.
character and light com package, and or the entire team com instead of just the character. You wanted to play Break? Well, you need to get Ron-Mei and Firefly, who are both running at the same time. You wanted to play Follow-Up? Hopefully you have enough for Fei Xiao and Robin, because they're both running at the same time or right after each other.
Yep.
Maybe if I wasn't greedy and stupid, it wouldn't be an issue. But
Oh, man. Oh, Mr. Jokey chirped again, man. Chirped again. -2 ER for Mr. Dookie.
I am glad the reruns are faster now. It's kind of a bit much. Personally, I would have liked it if we just got the 1 instead of 3 like we did back in 2.5. But when you have 8 characters running in one patch, including 2 new characters, and still not being given enough J's to even guarantee one is, I don't know about that.
You know what's crazy is that the 8 banners were actually good for Honkai Star Rail. They were good if they did it every banner in perpetuity, and then they stopped. So they were actually very bad. Because when they were at 8 was great, as long as they stayed at 8. But going back, oh, that was so bad. Because now when the next 8 banner comes out, oh, man, the FOMO is going to be insane. That's what I've been saying for months. Same.
And not to mention the power creep, where your characters fall to irrelevancy very quickly.
Yes, they do.
This game's generosity is a facade. Think about it like this. If your game gives out 150
Even if
pulls,
Trippy was
which you need
Underborn,
150
stupid
to
op
keep at
must
the end
pull
game,
zero
then
broken
are you really
F2P
generous?
friendly, your
And I feel
account
like
is
recently
bricked
in
if you don't
2.0,
pull her.
all this came
I'm
around
still
together
not
in
pulling
one
for
big
no
pile of
baby ass
dog shit.
character Lamau.
Every character rerunning was meta, except for Silverwolf, probably because Hoya fucking hates her. The Herda
Don't worry, they're going to buffer, man. They re-ran her because they're going to buffer.
is another example of blatant power creep, so yay. I'm sure she will require her light cone by the time her rerun comes around. Then we got Aglia. She's a very good character. I even zero cycled with her. Now I can impress my 21.7% female viewer ratio.
Who is this? Hey, bro, actual funny joke. You earned my subscribe. Actual good one.
She wants Sunday. That's understandable. But what I have a problem with is...
I'm actually so curious. What is my gender ratio? How many women watch me? 37% of people who watch me are not subscribed. It used to be 90-10, believe it or not. 8.8% female. That is insane. 2.2% at 13 to 17 years old. Dude, 0.8% 65 plus. That is insane.
Is her E1. Her E1 gives her 20 energy on hit, and she wants all the energy she can get. She still works without it, but I hate it when they lock what should have been in their base kit behind Eidolons.
Absolutely.
What Eidolons and Constellation should be is quality of life features and just damage increases, not removing the bullshit that Hoyoverse puts into their kit on purpose. It once again feels like yet another example of creating the problem and selling the solution. And another issue I noticed is the lack of viable 4-stars. We have very few 4-stars that are actually good and used often.
We got what? Gallagher, Pela, Hunt March, Ting Yun maybe? Mose? I've never seen anybody use Mose.
Out of the 20 plus 4-stars,
I would say like Ting Yun, Hunt March, Gallagher, and Pela probably.
In the game.
The problem is we need 8 minimum.
I can count the good ones on one hand. And that is a problem when 4-stars make up 34% of the roster.
Yeah.
At least in Genshin, you have characters like Bennett and Xingqiu who are still amazing to this day.
True.
But there's nothing like that in Star Rail. And I can feel it when there's a grand total of...
It would be so fucking nice.
Part of the 8%.
You know, to acknowledge Genshin Impact, it would be so nice to have a couple of 4-stars that were like meta broken, right? That way we wouldn't have to get 8 5-stars. We'd only need like 5, 3. Because like, dude, the 4-stars in this game are so weak.
One 4-star I use on a daily basis.
At least the MC is good.
And the 4-star problem is amplified even farther when you realize that we only got 2 new banner 4-stars in all of 2024. And we have no new Amphoreus 4-star in the drip market as of now. Meaning that the earliest our next 4-star could be is around 5.3, which is around June. That's bad. So now it's not only a problem with the lack of viable 4-stars, but it's also a problem with not having any new 4-stars. Like, look at this selector. Yeah, this shit is so ass. These are just some of the reasons why I kind of...
They should have made Hanya OP because she's so hot.
Don't like pulling for newer characters much anymore, because then I know that if I don't get everything for them, and there's no 4-star replacement, then put me in the corner of a hotel room and call me Sneeko because I am getting cucked. But as greedy as Honkai Star Rail is becoming, I don't think it's as bad as Genshin Impact.
Really?
That's right, Genshin. You aren't safe from me. I've noticed ever since the beginning of
I guess the thing with Honkai Star Rail is that I would say now in 2025, I actually think Honkai Star Rail has the worst power creep in all aspects. I really do. Maybe there's something that I'm forgetting, but in a bubble right now where I'm at, I do think it is worse than Genshin right now. Let's see.
Atlan, they've been getting pretty bold with their monetization, but that doesn't mean it wasn't there before. There was a weapon banner not having weapon charting. Luckily, we did get it fixed.
Credit me.
Hail Tectone!
Oh, shit! Yo, brother, anybody who acknowledges that, get to subscribe from me, brother. I want to see this guy at 3,000 subs by the time we finish this video.
There's also characters like Hu Tao who really wants her C1. Trust me, I've played C0 and C1, and yeah, C1 does make her a lot easier to play. So I've noticed that recently, but as the game aged, things started to change. Ooh. Throughout Fontaine, we got characters like Risley who really do like a C1, but Natlin, oh boy.
What happened?
Natlin brought it to a whole new level.
Really?
They made pretty much every Natlin unit insane for exploration, but only in Natlin. So unless you want to use your Shalom roller skates for a grand total of 3 seconds, you aren't going anywhere outside of Natlin. But if you do want to use them for exploration outside of Natlin, then you need to shell out another $300, because a lot of the Natlin characters have their Nightsoul usage reduced outside of combat in their C1s.
I will say, there is a character that I'm currently using in Honkai Star Rail, because for people who think that the quality of life exploration is only pay-gated in Genshin, it's the same thing in Honkai Star Rail. Yeah, I'm using Rappa to surf around, to traverse the large-ass maps of, what's it called? What's the new zone called? Amphorius. Yeah, Amphorius. It's so fucking large. Like characters like Fei Xiao and Rappa, you have to pull for quality of life. But, to be fair, that movement will be good in every zone in perpetuity. Whereas these characters, like the swimmers in Fontaine and now the speed boys in Natlin, they'll only be good in Natlin and in Fontaine. Which means you're going to have to pull again in Snezhnaya. You're going to have to pull again in every new zone. Yeah, that's rough.
Meaning more exploration. They also added the new Nightsoul mechanics on all of the characters. With that, you really want to play Natlin units in order to take full advantage of the Hero of Cinder City set. I won't go into too much detail about all the characters, otherwise this video would be way too long.
Sure.
But there's one character in specific that made this all just feel so much worse.
Say it, bro.
But she's an Archon. But she is a Archon.
So it makes sense in lore that she power creeps everybody.
And that character's not other than the Archon of the region herself, Mavwika.
But she's an Archon,
she
should.
Like Mavwika's kit. Now, typically Archons will take advantage of the unique mechanics that they bring in their region. Think of Nahida with Dendro or Farina with the HP drain. And Mavwika is no exception to this. But the issue here is that Mavwika is a DPS. She can work as a sub-DPS support, but main DPS is where she shines. Meaning that the team is made to support her. Mavwika needs stacks of Fighting Spirit in order to launch her first move, and Fighting Spirit charges faster using the Night Soul points. This means that she requires Natlin use in order to fully function properly. She works okay without them, but she heavily wants them. Mavwika is a lot like a shonen protagonist. While she might be kind of strong on her
broken as fuck.
Her own, when she gets the power of friendship on her side, she becomes unbeatable. This is basically the equivalent of if Farina's buffs only worked on
Holy
Fontaine
fairy tale.
characters. I think you can see why that's a problem. Imagine you skip early Natlin units for Mavwika, and then you find out that she needs them to be at her best.
Yep.
But don't worry, the game is nice to you, you see. They give you a free Kachina to play with your Mavwika. I can't be the only person who feels like them giving us these bad characters out for free almost feels like an insult at this point. But if you don't want to play Kachina, and I can't blame you because she's not too good, don't worry, there's another Natlin character that's running on banner too.
Yeah, don't worry, man. That's right. This does make it worse than Honkai Star Rail. Yeah, let's just reach our #1 new character support on the same banner in the same cycle and put all of the currency to pull them in the second half once they're gone. I forgot how bad this was. I blacked it out.
That works perfectly with Mavwika. Sit lolly. But there is a little problem. Hoyo decided to run both of these brand new characters on the same banner phase. This was the first time in Genshin history this has happened.
Disgusting.
And to add insult to injury, the Lantern Right rewards were in the second phase, meaning you lost all of those because Dawei needed to buy a 6th yacht. This was one of the scummiest things Hoyoverse has ever done.
Do the number!
I kind of wanted to pull
that's
from
insane.
Because she's really fucking hot. But this decision was so bad I couldn't do it.
Hey, I'll be real, bro. Jane Doe, hey, fucking Ellen Joe, Zhu Yuan. I don't need porn from Honkai Star or Genshin anymore, man. ZZZ got me. Straight up. ZZZ got my ass, bro. Holy, that shit is insane.
I skipped characters because I don't agree with the price point or the practices, and this won't be the last. I can tell they wanted to milk as much money out of us, and that was just disappointing, to be honest. It's weird because last year, the internet was broken over 3 polls, but then when this happened, I barely saw anybody talking about it. And the greed isn't only on the characters, it's also extending to the enemies too. These new abysses have enemies that want Night Soul to break their shields. This shit was so annoying I had to bust out my benched Arlecchino to hopefully normal attack it until it died. I can probably make a...
Wait, what? What did it need?
These new abysses have enemies that want Night Soul to break their shields. This shit was so annoying I had to bust out my benched Arlecchino to hopefully normal attack it until it died.
Wait, so there's a Natlin mechanic where you need the Night Soul things that Natlin characters has in order to break its shield? That enemy needs Night Soul unless you have a million normal attack.
I can probably make a whole video on the shortcomings of Natlin and their newer approach to the way they monetize their games.
Please do.
Is so much worse. I do like Genshin, but man, these decisions are just getting worse and worse.
If a content creator can make a video exposing every issue with Natlin and the predatory business practice that they're doing, I promise you I'll react to it. I would really like to know more about that night range shield and how that works. Because I would really like to put a highlight on how much shitty business practices this company is doing. It's even worse than the actual Big Boss. It will one-shot you if you don't break the shield. Yeah. It's really ass, and what's crazy is I haven't heard about it because all the CCs who cover the game just turned a blind eye to anything that's fucking bad. Because it's just fraudulent CC after fraudulent CC. It's fucking pathetic.
As for Zenless Zone Zero, I don't really think it has any issues with greed yet. I've lost...
Just wait till Miyabi becomes the status quo and Zhu Yuan cannot be used anymore.
More gallons to that game than I have dollars, so I'm not really worried.
True, I will be real. Listen, guys, I don't give a fuck if Zenless Zone Zero falls off, gets power crept, the story sucks. I'm going to be jerking off of this game for the next 30 years.
I will say the Wenjins are getting kind of ridiculous, and there might be a bigger issue with power creep if we keep going higher than Miyabi.
Yes.
But we're going to have to wait and see.
True.
Now, I know I've received comments about how
it's crazy because if it was Wuwa, I would trust it to not do it again, but it's Hoyo, so I just feel like they're just going to do it again.
The gacha game, and of course it's greedy, and it's cross-skin and predatory, and you're right. Gacha games being greedy is about as common as chips and salsa at a Mexican restaurant.
Yep.
Of course companies want to make money, but what's also important is how they do it.
True.
From what I've seen, Hoyo tends to skirt a fine line between being just generous enough to keep people somewhat satisfied, but not satisfied enough to the point where they don't want to spend money on it. And while this makes sense, it feels like they've been more on the stingy side of things as of late. If they go too much in a negative direction, while it might benefit them in the short term, I really don't think people stick around it for the long term. Except the Hoyo shills, of course. And we've seen...
Hold up. Yuna says, "You stupid haters. Clorin can easily break the shield, even though she's not from Natlin." Who else? I'm gonna need you to name me 8 characters that can easily break these shields. Can you name me 8? We said if you can't do a ton of normal attacks, burning. Yo, Yuna, I'll come back to you, man. Type out the 8 characters that you can use to overcome that mechanic. All right, great.
Clear examples of games that are much more fair with their monetization and respect their players, and they have a very dedicated fan base. Take Wuthering Waves, for example. As much as people want to pit the fandoms against each other, WoW fans love the game for good reason, myself included. The weapon banner is guaranteed, and the pity is 80 instead of 90. You can buy dupes in the shop. I can't speak for everyone, but I am much more willing to...
I'm not gonna lie, buying 2 Carlotta dupes felt like coming. For real. Like, that shit felt like sex. It was so good.
Spend money on that game because I know it's a lot more reasonable. I may sound like a curlbot for this, but if giving a game as Sweet Flowers and Mint is being a curlbot, then I guess I'm a curlbot.
Yep.
I know this video is probably going to be a bit controversial, but I really hope Hoyoverse improves some monetization does better going forward. I want to guarantee weapon banner. I want more viable 4-stars. I want to have parts of kits not locked behind Eidolons or light cones. I've seen people say that these games should be void of criticism because it's a gacha game or it's free. This is completely false. This company is worth billions of dollars. And if anything, they should be held to the highest criticism possible.
Absolutely agree.
And the thing is, this company is what other games would look towards for a successful gacha game.
Absolutely. If you're okay with bad business practices happening in Hoyo and you don't voice your complaints, you will be seeing it in another gacha game very soon. People are using this as the blueprint. That's why I'm so critical of it, because I know other companies are looking towards this game on how it succeeded. They need to know what works and what doesn't.
Meaning that all the stupid things that Hoyo puts in their game, case in point, the 50-50 on weapons, could end up in other games by other companies. And as a player, I don't want to have to deal with that in every other game that I play. Luckily, Wuthering Waves significant...
Hold up. Jamon says it's still free. Okay, so let me ask you a question. So if you can enter a restaurant for free, are you not going to complain when a hamburger's $80? Because the game might be free, but you're still going to have to spend a lot to get any of the good shit. And then you say, oh, well, you can just grind free to play for fucking 2 weeks. Okay. So what you're saying is, are you okay with entering a restaurant and then just working as a line cook for 8 hours so you can eat one meal? Shut the fuck up.
Improved it, and there are other games.
Y'all motherfuckers are so dumb, it's embarrassing.
I'm hoping other games in the future will do the same. The
welcome
fact
to my
that a very
stream.
successful
Appreciate the
gacha
chat
game
message.
doing what Hoyo couldn't in real time makes it feel so disappointing on Hoyo's end. Will any of this happen? Unlikely. But I love these games and I want them to improve. All I hope is that we see better in the future. Honkai Star announced some changes recently, so maybe we'll see some monetization changes. And as for Genshin...
Well said, Techie. See, you saying well said is what a normal person would say, common Techie W, is what we say in 2025. You know, that same thing that y'all say for other content creators when they merely just mimic exactly what I fucking say. Because it's crazy when I say it, people are like, true. But then when content creators just repeat the same shit I say, they say, oh yeah, common Techie W based. Jesus, man. Come on, we need a little bit more brain, right? I mean, dude, guys, I want you to imagine this. There are more people typing based and W in Ziox and Zajeff's chat than there are here. 2.2% at 13 to 17 years old. That's a real fact, by the way. I looked up what emotes are being used. How? Because for some reason, even though I'm the guy that's right about everything, my chat just doesn't type it. So let's get our numbers up, guys. Let's get our numbers up. Thanks. Yeah, but their chat is retarded. Well, you know what, chat? Sometimes it's okay to be retarded as long as you're playing into my ego.
Yeah, you guys are cooked. Before you click off, I just want to say thank you for reaching the end of this video. This is my first video like this, so I apologize if it's not the best. But if you guys want more videos like these, then let me know. And any feedback...
You know what Ziox and Zajev have to say to get a base or a fucking W? Oh, Genshin, good, guys. I really like Klee. Base, 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 base.
Is greatly appreciated. And if you enjoyed, I really appreciate you subscribing. This video took a lot of work, and it really helps me out a lot. Thank you so much for watching.
This guy's awesome. Dude, he timestamped his whole video, too. Once again, I want to make sure this guy has 3,000 subs before we get off here. To move a quick refresh and see what we got him to. Boom!
So I...
3.03. Hey, job's done, boys. Boom, boom, boom. Pop. Highlighting another smaller content creator. What a god! What a god! Hey, great video, man. Appreciate the f*** out of that and welcome to the Gacha space. Never seen you before, but I hope I see more of you. Peace.
Wuthering Waves is finally stepping their foot down. If you saw my last shot, I talked about one big Hoyoverse fan who was purposely trying to sabotage Kuro Games by creating false accusations of them not paying the company that created the Shorekeeper figures. And obviously Kuro weren't happy with this and decided to take action, but it was also reported that Kuro actually dropped the case after he threatened to do something to himself, which again I can't really say in this video. But it seems like that has changed, as some recent court documents actually show that Wuthering Waves are going to continue to sue this person for false information and get justice for their company, as this particular person is actually known for creating lies about other companies that could actually pose a threat to Genshin Impact, including Wuthering Waves and also Arknerds, which is just the craziest thing I've ever heard. That's all. See ya. Wuthering Waves is
Dana's all right. I mean, he's paid, I've got a lot of money from him. You know,
so you made a lot of money for him.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I probably should have got paid more.
Well, that's a big conversation around the UFC. Whenever you do business outside the WWE, and everybody calls Dana basically a spitting image of Vince, just in a different fight game. Do you agree with that?
I don't know. I really can't compare the two guys. They're just so. I mean, Honestly, my relationship with Vince is so different than it is with Dana over the years. Vince and I have had a love-hate relationship for, the last 20 years, but it's been good. We got a lot of water under the bridge. I have a lot of respect for both men. But things dealing with Dana and it's just a totally different.
You met
business
Vince when you
approach.
were younger.
I met Vince when I was younger. Dana's all right. I mean,
For Mom, I went there.
Let's draft NBA lineups with only players who played with Shaq.
I have to take LeBron James.
Naturally. I gotta pick the second best player available. Give me Kobe.
This is my opportunity to fumble, but I will not.
You will.
Give me Kevin Garnett, and then give me D-Wade.
Damn.
This is what I do. This is what I do.
Give me Paul Pierce.
Listen, if you have LeBron, you need shooting. Give me Ray Allen at the 2. And then you know what? Give me Gary Payton.
I'm glad you did that. I need a playmaker. Give me Steve Nash.
Damn. Give me Hardaway. Next to KG, give me Dennis Rodman.
You are cooking shit. You got no shooters.
Bro, who needs shooting when I'm going to stomp your face out with 2 of the meanest NBA players ever?
Give me Alonzo Mourning.
This is great. This is exactly where I want it to be. At my 4, give me Sean Marion. And at my 5, give me Amari Stoudemire.
No rim protection. Doesn't move me.
I have LeBron.
On my 4, give me Grant Hill.
Damn, bro. He was the perfect play for my team. Oh, my God. I can't win ever. Give me Jason Richardson, man. He was...
What did you just fucking say?
He will suffice.
I told you he was going to fumble.
Let's draft NBA lineups with only players who played with Shaq.
I have to take LeBron James.
Naturally. I gotta pick.
According to another Japanese report, which took to...
This white tiger was once severely ill, vomiting constantly. After being examined by medical staff, they discovered something unexpected. It was pregnant. Not long after,
Have you taken your German lessons? Oh, yes, sir. Mm-hmm. Good. You, how do you say thank you in German?
Oh, of course, sir. Let me see. It's,
Yes?
Dank.
Yes, out with it.
Dank it.
My God. Was that all right? No, that was terrible. You're butchering my beautiful language. It's Danke schön, verdammt. Say it.
Danke schön?
Incorrect. Danke schön.
Alright, when you're ready.
Hey, I just want to let you guys know, you guys have a lady back here. She got no teeth.
Yep.
Asking for a Big Mac with no onions and a small milkshake in exchange for sex.
Stop it. I'll let my manager know. Can I take your order?
Let me get a Big Mac with no onions and a small milkshake.
I do the same thing. You want to know why having sex with homeless people is so good? Because they're hungry, so you know they'll swallow.
And they're all going to get a running start. Here we go, 3.9 seconds left. Pacers down 3. Halliburton's got the ball. Halliburton rises. Foul to give the Pacers the lead. Halliburton does. A 4-point trip down the floor. Giannis puts it in. Bucks go quick. Giannis had a seam. Giannis got to put it up. This is for the win. And it's short. And they're all going to get a running start. Here we go. 3.9 seconds left. Pacers down 3. Halliburton's got the ball. Halliburton rises. Foul to give the Pacers the lead. Halliburton does. A 4-point trip down the floor. Giannis puts it in. Bucks go quick. Giannis had a seam. Giannis got to put it up. This is for the win. And it's short. And they're all
I kind of want to watch the Polka video. Let's just see how bad it actually is.
My back. Running around all day. This new job is me.
They did really go full Gooner on this character, but I haven't seen this trailer. I heard it was outrageous.
Miss Polgra, hi. I'm the new massage therapist here.
Hey.
Pleasure to meet you. If the pressure is too much, just let me know.
Okay.
All right. Let's
Is
get
it as
started.
crazy as people said?
I'm so sorry. I guess I didn't get it quite right.
It's fine. Just be a bit more gentle.
How are you feeling, Miss Polgra? A little better now? Miss Polgra? The massage is over now. Please feel free to rest here for a bit.
No way. Couldn't be.
That was the worst trailer I've ever seen. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, that was just lame as fuck. That shit wasn't even hot. It showed like a back massage. Like, people are tweaking out over that. Bro, people have never seen before in their whole life. That was like
Santino Marella challenged Jack Swagger for the US title in March 2012. John Laurinaitis and David Otunga came out. Otunga distracted the ref, Dolph Ziggler caught Santino, Swagger hit Santino with a gut-wrench powerbomb, and Santino kicked out. Teddy Long and Kofi Kingston came out, and Teddy confronted John for being out there. John distracted the ref, Teddy caught John, things got heated and the ref was there, and Dolph caught Santino again. Dolph caught Kofi too, then Santino hit Dolph with a Cobra, Swagger caught Santino in the ankle lock, Teddy pushed John, Santino countered Swagger and then rolled him up to pin him and win the match. John said Teddy can't do this because it's John's show, and Teddy told him it's his show now, called out the security, then John and Otunga were escorted.
Diving for it, Monk. Corey thought about three. He'll put up a three. There it is! Number 4,000! A shot for the ages from a player for the ages. Diving for it, Monk.
You can't have that girl.
The Phoenix Suns are in disaster mode, as despite having the highest payroll in the entire NBA, Phoenix sits at 11th place in the Western Conference. They do not own their first-round pick until 2032, and perhaps worst of all, they are getting disrespected on a nightly basis. Did you think Cam Spencer versus Kevin Durant would become a beef?
Spain. Here's Spencer for three. It's through!
And it went right to Kevin Durant after he made the shot.
Cam Spencer averages 4.5 points per game, but people have suddenly gotten real comfortable coming at both the Suns and Kevin Durant. However, there is some good news here. It was reported that at the trade deadline, the Suns tried to trade KD, but that he wanted to wait until the summer. And now, it has also been reported that a trade is certain. Durant, who is still averaging around 27 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists per game, could be the missing piece on a contender. He could shake up the entire NBA this summer, but the real question is, will he be joined by Devin Booker, who is also now in trade rumors, as the Suns might just completely tear everything down? And to make things even crazier, we might have an all-time NBA summer as LaMelo Ball, rapper LiAngelo Ball's brother, has popped up in trade talks as well. Some say Melo is a star who is stuck in NBA purgatory. Some say he's putting up empty stats on a bad team.
So if you lose a game by 53, they just not even competing.
We could very well soon have the answer to that question. So what's up, Mike here, and let's watch this clip together and ask ourselves, does this look like a stable team? Also, if you enjoyed this video, it would be awesome if you subscribed and turn on post notifications, only if you like the content. Now, looking at this clip.
Really turning the corner with Gordon. Jalen Green just turned around, knocked it down, and now Plumlee and Adams get locked up with one another. That's the last guy you want. He takes him down. It's like a sumo wrestling match out there.
The answer is, of course, no. The Suns are free-falling after failing to make a move at the trade deadline, and what's crazy is that with this much time left to go in the season, we not only already have possible trade destinations for Kevin Durant, we have an official asking price. It has been reported that Phoenix wants 3 first-round picks and a young player for Durant, which makes sense because, again, the Suns don't own their own pick until 2032. They already played their cards here by trying to trade Kevin Durant. There's no going back from that. So they're going to need as many first-round picks as possible from other teams if they're going to save themselves from this current nightmare. If you watch a Suns game, you will notice that the body language is terrible. It does not look like the guys like playing with each other out there, and since February, Phoenix is 5-13, and Kevin Durant himself has started to lose it.
And I'm gonna tell you what I just saw. Kevin Durant just swung at Carlo, and Carlo's going over to talk to him right now. I don't know how the official missed that.
And here he is just getting right into Chris Paul's face.
Knocked out of bounds, and Durant and Paul are talking in an animated fashion.
Let's notice in this clip, Chris Paul literally drags De'Aaron Fox in front of him, then says, "Hold me back, bro." I'm just saying. I also feel for Kevin Durant, but really, I feel for Devin Booker even more. Look hasn't complained. He has been a loyal soldier for Phoenix. He has been a winning all-star, one of the best shooting guards in the league, who in 2022, at the age of 25, was not only first-team All-NBA, he was 4th in the MVP voting on a 64-win Suns team. Other pros describe Devin Booker as one of the most unguardable players in the league because he could truly score from everywhere.
You got courtside seats. Who you going to see?
I'm going to see Devin Booker. I love everything about D-Book. He can score in a variety of ways.
Book is different. He just love to hoop. And he crazy.
And this season, he's still averaging 26 points and 6.8 assists per game, but wasn't even an all-star. I think Devin Booker overnight has become one of the most underrated players in the league. Now, if we're being honest here, Devin Booker has long been the untouchable cornerstone that Phoenix has built their teams around. However, if we're also just being realistic, the Suns now have no path to a championship contender anytime soon. Bradley Beal has a bloated contract here that is weighing them down into absolute mediocrity. Beal has a $57 million player option for the 2027 season, and the Suns are on record as saying they want a young player and picks back for Kevin Durant, so really, the trade buzz around Devin Booker makes a lot of sense here. Personally, I hope this happens because I'm getting Donovan Mitchell vibes here. Donovan Mitchell, of course, was traded from the Utah Jazz to the Cleveland Cavaliers, and now has become the leader on a 55-10 regular season juggernaut this year. Devin Booker might end up becoming that same type of leader somewhere else. This, of course, demands the question, though, where might Kevin Durant and Devin Booker end up? For both of them, the list is extensive. Dallas might want to form a veteran big three of KD, Kyrie, and Anthony Davis to salvage the Luka trade with the hope of having 1 or 2 big playoff runs. That is assuming, of course, that Kyrie Irving recovers fully from injury. After watching what has happened in Dallas, this would be a dream scenario for them, and the Suns could get back someone like Derek Lively, who is a very young and promising interesting player. The Miami Heat have also been mentioned here. They are mentioned in almost every single trade rumor. The problem is they don't really have many trade assets. And I also do not think the Miami Heat are going to be a contender even with KD. The New York Knicks are a wild card to watch, especially if they get bounced in the playoffs early. And the Detroit Pistons and Houston Rockets are two young teams in this discussion who might want to look to bring in a vet to hopefully push them to the next level. But guys, before we continue, I'm very excited to thank Bear Mattress for sponsoring today's video, because listen to this. If you head to bearmattress.com/Corzemba right now and use promo code Corzemba, you are going to get 40% off of your mattress plus 2 free pillows. I'm not gonna lie, I think that is the best deal we have ever seen on this channel. 40% off plus 2 free pillows? You're sleeping well. If you're in the United States, Bear Mattress ships to you for free. And they know the most important part of sleeping is the fact that we all sleep differently. Everyone has different mattress preferences. Everyone has different sleep positions. They also have a limited lifetime warranty and a 120-day sleep trial. Now, how do you make sure you get the best mattress? Well, they have a sleep quiz that is very easy to take. And with it, they give you the ideal mattress that fits your needs. For instance, when I was taking the sleep quiz, I am a side sleeper. And also, I will admit, I've started to get some aches and pains. I'm now in my 30s. I'm now an old man. So I understand.
For the last few years, the Golden State Warriors have lived and died by Steph Curry. Stop him and you stop the Warriors. Simple as that. But now, that's no longer the case. Because ever since Jimmy Butler landed in the Bay, the Warriors have become a completely different beast. And the numbers prove it. Steph is putting up 30.4 points on 64% true shooting since Butler arrived. And it's not because he suddenly got better. It's because, for the first time in years, defenses have another problem. Now teams can't just sell out to stop Steph, because Jimmy Buckets is right there, forcing a complete shift in how the Warriors operate. And the rest of the league, they have no clue how to stop it. So how dangerous are Steph and Jimmy together? And more importantly, is this the formula to another Warriors championship? Let's find out. For the first 50 games of the season, the Warriors' offense wasn't just struggling, it was suffocating. A system built around movement, spacing, and unselfish play had been reduced to one inevitable conclusion: give the ball to Steph and hope for the best. Night after night, he was asked to solve unsolvable equations. No Klay Thompson of old, no Kevin Durant, not even the erratic but explosive Jordan Poole from 2022. Just Steph, shouldering an offensive burden unlike anyone else in the league. And defenses treated him accordingly. The game plan? Simple. Trap him on every pick and roll. Face guard him the second he stepped on the floor. Send doubles the moment he crossed half court. And force anyone else on the Warriors to make a play. No other superstar is defended this way. Luka and Kyrie face pressure, but not to this extent. SGA, Tatum, and LeBron have far more breathing room. Steph, on the other hand, plays in a straitjacket. By midseason, he led the NBA in double-team rate, and the numbers showed the toll it took. His 22.7 points per game on 16.8 shots marked his lowest scoring output since his early years. His efficiency dipped, and only 12.6% of his attempts came at the rim, a steep drop from the 25% he once thrived on in his prime. And while his three-point shooting remains elite, the rest of the NBA has evolved. Everyone shoots threes now. Variance is unavoidable. When Steph struggles, there's no safety net. That's why Golden State's offense was stuck in the mud.